Chapter 121 The Shadow Being Manipulated. Swish. Knife light flashed. With only a trace of fighting instinct left, Yagura blocked his way with his weapon. Ding. Sparks rubbing against metal light up the office. Indifferent face appeared in front of Yagura, and the confused look of the other party had already made Bajian confirm the thoughts in his heart. Controlled by Obito demonic illusion, is completely unable to exert its own combat power. From his Zanpakudo was enough to illustrate this point. It's over. Click. The strength in the hand increased, and the Reiatsu extended from the body to the blade, with a faint Yui light flashing through Yagura's weapon and breaking instantly. The wind is a chakra quality cut, plus the sharpness of Reiatsu. Yagura who can exert all his strength, he can resist it for a while with the tail beast turned on. But now he... Pila. Blood gushing from the wound on the chest. There was a trace of relief and anger on the face of the fourth-generation Mizukage. But after all, there is no capital to resist. It's ridiculously weak. Blood was splattered everywhere, and the pungent, bloody smell of Mizukage's office was disgusting. Zanpakudo, who was blood-stained with 8 swords, looked at the corpse in front of him and fell into deep thought. Yagura controlled by demonic illusion is really too weak, and it's good to be able to make some instinctive movements. Not even a tail beast. This weakness also made Bajian affirm his inner thoughts. Killer Bee said that the perfect person Jinchuriki, column force is not afraid of demonic illusion. But now that Bajian understands it, I can only say that I am not afraid of the demonic illusion of the second Jinchuriki column sun. Obito's Mangekyo can make demonic illusion in Yagura for so many years. It has already shown that the resistance of this demonic illusion is very limited. It is estimated that the 2 Jinchuriki column suns, demonic illusion, are indeed weaker, so that Killer Bee can escape by luck. Uchiha Madara also said that Sasuke's Mangekyo is a straight bus, and it strengthens the agility of movements. Demonic illusion does not increase much. Perhaps, if Obito controls Yagura to fight here, the opponent's strength will be greatly improved, but unfortunately Obito is obviously not in Kurigakure village, otherwise he would have jumped out long ago. Jien sang, the people on the list who need to be caught have already been sent to the conference room. The one named Terumi-mei is indeed a bit difficult to deal with, but fortunately Shisui's Susanoo can hold her Yoden lava style flat. Behind him, Itachi, with blood on his body, panted and came over to report the situation. Everything is in the master. Take him here, it will be useful later. Nodding, Hachikage walked towards the conference room in the Mizukage building. Reissue free Chapter 2. Code wording. Chapter 122 Pick out his eyes, it doesn't belong to the village of Kurigakure. Is Mizukage dead? Outside the conference room door, Jiraiya asked with a wry smile as she looked at the blood-covered 8 swords. Jiraiya, I know you're kind, but you know how many people died in Kurigakure village. 8 swords was a little helpless. Kindness is not wrong, and he appreciates Jiraiya as much as Naruto in this regard. But the 2 extremes of kindness and cruelty cannot appear in the same person. Want to change, sacrifice some people is sure. Down the village of Kurigakure will increase Konoha's formidable combat power. Even, in the future unification war, the joining of the village of Kurigakure, the whole situation has undergone earth-shaking changes. For Konoha, there are countless benefits. To a certain extent, the 8 swords at the moment are acting like Shimura Danzo, who has died. He has more limits than Danzo, and he is not as extreme. What's the matter? He won't do whatever he wants to do in the name of the village. If someone really pissed him off, he would kill that person directly. The reason is never for the village. Just because I want to kill you, then kill you. The 8 swords style is like that. Bajian's words, Jiraiya was even more confused. First, Shisui said meaningful words of mutual understanding, and now everything Bajian does seems to make sense. He needs a time of acceptance and transformation. Ignoring Jiraiya, Bajian pushed open the door and walked into the conference room. The elders of Kurigakure village and other senior leaders looked a little confused. This is necessary. He was pulled out of the duvet and slapped a few times in the face. It was a problem if he wasn't stunned. Only the sturdy 3 men tied in the corners remained awake. The chief elder of Kurigakure village. After Yagura died of illness, he had been in control of the Kurigakure village until the 5 Shadows talks and ordered Terumi-mei to be the 5th generation Mizukage. The old guy is in good spirits. Although the scene is very chaotic, he still maintains his composure. This spirit alone is enough to prove that he is not that simple. The other 2, one is the future 5th generation Mizukage Terumi-mei. Byakugan with a blindfold. Frowning, Bajian pointed at Ao and looked at his subordinate, the member of the Hyuga clan whose code name was Lai. Cut out his eyes. Give it back to Hyugahiyashi when I go back. Pick your eyes when you come up. Surrounding Kurigakure village watched this scene in panic. I didn't expect Bajian's actions to be so violent. What's more, the top commander of the team that suddenly invaded the village of Kurigakure was a kid. Kid with knife. Is Your Excellency Konoha Kenpachi, hero of Konoha village? Just at the critical moment, Ching suddenly shouted. Konoha Kenpachi. The most influential figure in the ninja world in recent years. Led a surprise force to disrupt the rear of Kumogakure village. It captured the Jinchuriki column force of the people of Kumogakure village and at the same time severely damaged Killer Bee Jinchuriki column force Killer Bee. In the same year, it was even rumored that the other side fought against Reikage without being defeated, and together with the 4th generation of Hokage Namikaze Minato, Reikage was captured alive by this appalling legend. Of course, no one takes word of mouth seriously. Compared with this news, they would rather believe that this is Konoha's bravado plan. Creating heroes in times of crisis is a common method used by Shinobi Village. Pick. Without unnecessary nonsense, Bajian spit out a word again. Ah! Heart-piercing screams echoed throughout the conference room. The elders looked left and right, and they were so frightened that they didn't dare to breathe, for fear that the devil would dig their eyes along the way. Lai had a ferocious look on his face, and an eyeball had already been sealed in his hand. This is the eye of the Hyuga main clan. Only main clan's eyes are not destroyed after a person dies. Guarding the main clan is the mission of the division. Remember, this is something that belongs to Konoha. It's up to you to get it. I can get it back, that's what I'm capable of. I don't want to see Konoha's stuff being shown off like trophies under AECF. Looking around, Hatchicken ignored the pain and the heart-piercing owl went straight to Terumi-mei and Yuan next to him. Finally, he turned his attention to Terumi-mei. He waved his hand behind him, and Itachi, who came in later, threw the body of the 4th generation Mizukage Yagura in. At this moment, everyone's eyes widened in disbelief. Mizukage-sama is already dead. How can it be? That is the highest combat power of Kurigakure village. They were caught just now, and I imagined that Mizukage-sama would defeat the enemy and come to save me. Now, hope has been completely dashed. Your Excellency, do you want to start the 4th Ninja War? Glancing at the corpse on the ground, Master Yuan spoke up. The first sentence is a sentence that gives psychological pressure to the other party. That's right. Infiltrating the village of Kurigakure and killing Mizukage spreads out, the ninja world must be in chaos. Although Reikage was also caught by the kid in front of him and used as a bargaining chip, Reikage didn't die after the competition, and it didn't take a few days before and after. Now, Mizukage is dead. Died by Konoha's ninjas. The revenge of the village of Kurigakure be enough for Konoha to endure. First, I didn't let you talk. What responded to the other party was Bajian's fierce gaze that did not resemble a human being. Holding Yuan Shi's neck with one hand, Bajian's voice was as cold as hell. Second, starting the 4th Ninja War, you Kurigakure village are not worthy. Even if you can start a war, Konoha is not afraid. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here either. Not worthy. humiliation, anger. Various emotions filled the eyes of Yuan Shi. In the village of Kurigakure, he is a respected elder. Power is even comparable to Mizukage. Now it's being pinched by the neck. This kind of thing never happened. Third, I dislike you politicians, so please shut up before I let you speak, and whether killing Yagura is good or bad for the village of Kurigakure, you know in your own heart, don't use your heart to smile on your face. Attitude towards me, quote. Terumi Mei next to him. You come with me. Leaving a sentence, the teenager walked to the cubicle next to the conference room. Find me. Terumi Mei was stunned for a moment, then hesitantly stood up and followed. No matter what he wants to say, he has no right to resist. The opponent's subordinates can defeat and control themselves, not to mention the legendary Konoha Kenpachi. At this time, Terumi Mei was still a teenage girl. Of course, Bajian is still an old woman. Let's talk, old lady. In the compartment, Bajian sat on a chair and looked at each other. Terumi Mei's body trembled with the sharp eyes. Chat. Talk about what? Fifth more. Code wording. Chapter 123. What kind of monster is Konoha? For a teenage girl, Terumi Mei's development is clearly overdone. And this kind of natural light is more natural than Tsunade. Of course, the shape of the lamp is on par with Tsunade. Bajian just looked at it in admiration for a few times and then withdrew his gaze. Mizukage has already been killed by me, now, I give you 3 choices, choice. About it, Bajian threw Zanpakuto on the table and chose to speak his mind directly. In this situation, he is too lazy to analyze it piece by piece. Telling the other party directly about the pros and cons, I really don't agree that he is reselecting an obedient role. The village of Kurigakure has a handful of such ambitions. Number 1, I'll kill you, or take you to Konoha to be my maid. What is this option? Terumi Mei was stunned. To talk and talk, isn't this option of yours to die for? It's a shame to think about being a maid. What about Konoha Kenpachi? She is a woman who aspires to be a Mizukage and will never give in. Obviously, she didn't want to agree to this one. Mizukage has a lot of water, but it's impossible to be a maid. Second, I make you a 5th-generation Mizukage, the hero of the village of Kurigakure who cancelled the blood fog policy. What the hell is this second option? Compared with the first one, this option is also too good, right? Terumi Mei, who was still immersed in anger just now, was stunned. Then she thought that something was wrong. Terumi Mei frowned. State your terms, little man. You're smart, but you're not small. You haven't seen it before, so don't talk nonsense. 8 Swords smiled slightly, on the condition that, from today onwards, you will be loyal to me, regularly send materials and finances to Konoha, and all major decisions in Kurigakure village must go through Konoha to be implemented, and be completely transparent to Konoha. Become a subordinate of Konoha, and stand on Konoha's side when Konoha launches a war of unification in the future, and all the fighting power will be assigned to Konoha. It's impossible, you can't even think about it. Terumi Mei stood up angrily and pointed at the 8 Swords. If it wasn't for some kind of seal from the people who dealt with her before, and chakra couldn't be mobilized, she would have squirted out a mouthful of Yoden, lava style, to let this man understand what it means to be full of love kiss. Listen to me through the third option. There was a trace of cruelty on Bajian's face. Say. The girl stared at Yi Bajian coldly. She swears that she would rather choose the first one than this condition. Compared to selling out the village of Kurigakure, being a maid is nothing. Third, I force you to agree to the second. He calmly snapped his fingers towards the door. Kakashi understood and dragged Master Yuan from the conference room. Swish. When the hand rises and the knife falls, Master Yuan's head rises into the sky. Kill it. There is no sign. Stained Yuhi's entire compartment. Next. The blood on Zanpakuto. Hachiken looked at Kakashi. You are a devil. Terumi Mei's heart-wrenching voice came out of the compartment, and the elders of the Presbyterian Church were so frightened that they lost their control. Next, didn't you hear? Didn't hear Terumi Mei's words. Hachiken frowned and looked at Kakashi. Master Yuan must die. His highly respected words in the village of Kurigakure are comparable to Mizukage. Such people are sensible, but ignorance will only bring trouble to Konoha, and even gather strength to resist Konoha in the future. From the moment he opened his mouth to accuse Konoha of starting the Fourth Ninja War, he knew that he would never agree to this reform. I agree. I choose to. Please, please, please don't. The moment Kakashi turned around, Terumi Mei finally made her choice. Tears fell on her face. Unable to bear the bloodshed in this already tortured village, Terumi Mei could only choose to agree. Smart. Nodding, grabbed Terumi Mei's hand and the two walked towards the door of the compartment. And when he was about to leave the compartment, Bajian's voice suddenly calmed down. Okay, watch the changes in the ninja world, you will only be happy with your choice in the future. It's a good choice. From now on, you will be my subordinate. Stepping into the conference room, Bajian took a deep breath. Starting today, Terumi Mei is the 5th generation Mizukage of Kurigakure village. I don't want to ask you who is for and who is against such a boring question, I just want to inform you of the result. Besides that, she's also the hero who pulled the village of Kurigakure back from the blood fog and defeated Yagura. Having 2 types of Kekkei Genkei, Yoden lava style and Futen vapor style, is strong enough to be the Mizukage of Kurigakure village. After speaking in one breath, Hachiken squeezed Terumi Mei's little hand. The team is left for you, don't forget your choice. If you betray me, the consequences will be disastrous. Letting go of the opponent's hand, Bajian left the conference room with his own people. At this moment, the trembling senior leaders of Kurigakure village all focused their attention on the back of the boy. Strong enough to defeat the strength of the 4th generation Mizukage. Terrifying to make people dare not resist the momentum. And the means of the master's heart. What kind of monster came out of Konoha? Mastered the political situation of Kurigakure village with the power of thunder, what will he do in the future? Grief, loss. The first 2 emotions are easy to understand. After all, my village must be unhappy when there is a big uproar. But the third kind of loss has a deeper meaning. For example, some people wonder why the person who was pulled into the cubicle wasn't themselves. If it were him, would he be transformed into a 5th generation Mizukage of Kurigakure village after he came out? Loss comes from this. Only Terumi Mei, looking at the 8 swords with complex eyes. The words the man said before he left made her wonder if what happened today was good or bad for Kurigakure village. Become subordinate to others. Of Kurigakure village has been solved, and the village will recover its vitality in the future. Kurigakure village is one of the 5 great ninja villages. Is it that easy? When the boy left the conference room, he looked at him with a wry smile and didn't know what to say. I thought that the achievements recorded on the merit wall were already the peak of this child. Who knew he would make such a big noise just after leaving Konoha? Kurigakure village, one of the 5 great ninja villages, into a subsidiary of Konoha. This kind of thing, he never dared to think about it before. Looking at Jiraiya, Hachiken sighed and turned his head to instruct Kakashi, take our people to observe outside the village of Kurigakure for a day. You come with me. Holding each other's hands, the two finally came to the top building of the Mizukage building. What are you doing here? Jiraiya asked suspiciously. Meet the rising sun tomorrow and let you see the changes in the village of Kurigakure. Without saying anything superfluous, Bajian just handed the wine gourd in his hand to the other party. Hesitate for a few seconds. Fortunately, in the end Jiraiya took over. In Kurigakure village. What is the so-called change? Jiraiya sighed. At this moment, he was only confused. 8 swords and Yahiko, who is right? He really doesn't know. 6th more. I'm really sorry for everyone today, because I handed down the wrong book, I beg your forgiveness. I originally wanted to add one more update, but I have to get up early tomorrow to work at home, so I have to sleep. Otherwise you can't get up. I'm really sorry. I'm sorry everyone. Chapter 124. I am even more convinced that you are the son of prophecy. Early morning. When the sun rose, the villagers of Kurigakure village walked out of their rooms with anxiety. The fighting last night was not too big or too small, so naturally they could hear the screams from the tragic deaths of people. Although the process didn't last long, something must have happened. The atmosphere in the village is vaguely wrong, and even the fog that usually surrounds the village of Kurigakure has lightened a lot. Everyone gathers. Mizuguchi-sama has a big announcement. A message flew into the ears of the villagers. Event. What's the big announcement? Did they have to levy taxes again, or force their children to enroll in a ninja school? Obviously this is not the first time this has happened. But cows live in this village, they have no right to refuse. Yes, only obedience. Even those Kekkei Genkei races who have opinions on the top of the Kurigakure village are all dead. The Keigaya clan, and even the Ghost Lamp clan did not change the regime of the entire Kurigakure village. Keigaya-kun Kimimaro, the last of the Keigaya clan to be imprisoned, also known as the Human Shield, disappeared not long ago. 04. In addition to the Keigaya clan, the remaining Ghost Lantern clan, the Shui Wuyu clan fled to death, and with such a bloody result, what right did they have to resist this blood fog? Like zombies, people step by step to the bottom of the Mizuguchi building. The silent waiting began. It was only after the villagers and ninjas of Kurigakure village had assembled, a beautiful scenery suddenly appeared on the high platform. Terumi Mei. At this moment, she is actually wearing a hat that Mizuguchi can only wear. Terumi Mei, announces the 5th generation Mizuguchi of Kurigakure village. The era of blood fog in Kurigakure village is completely over. Cancelled a mutual killing system in the graduation assessment of Kurigakure village. When the high-pitched sound mixed with a little excited voice resounded over the Kurigakure village, the doubts and stiffness on the villagers' faces turned into tears of excitement and joy. They don't know what's going on. But the result is more important to them than anything else. The 5th generation of Mizuguchi Terumi Mei announced that the blood fog will end completely from today. When the first cheers came, the atmosphere of the whole Kurigakure village rose to the top. People chanted Mizuguchi's name and ran to tell. The painting echoes the rising sun in the east. It seems that starting today, the village of Kurigakure will return to the light. Never worry about your child dying in the place where ninjutsu is passed down. Passionate, excited. This is new rebirth. You see. On the topmost building of the Mizuguchi building, Hachiken lies on Kurama's soft stomach and drinks wine. Jiraiya next to him opened his mouth, and when people cheered, he was completely sober. If you are counting on it, discuss it with these people and tell him the generation that the title Blood Mist brings. Praise, let him reform. And then let him understand the pain of parents losing their children. Will he understand? Taking another sip into his mouth, Bajian sighed. Some things have to be seen with your own eyes, otherwise you cannot understand and understand each other. How difficult, even a little funny. Just like when the hero in front of him went to a Megakure village to investigate information, he did not understand why Nagato would become such a truth. How important is personal experience? Nagato may have become a little neurotic afterward. But when Yahiko, like a brother, fell into his arms, his feature film world also became. There must be something to hate about those who have brought down the poor. However, hateful people also have a pitiful place. How to deal with this kind of view? Bajian has a standard to measure in his heart. He will never be able to say, I forgive you, like Naruto, and then forget all that kind of open-mindedness. I understand a bit. Looking at the people running to tell the story below, Jiraiya sighed. When the kid next to him rushed into the conference room with a knife and killed the quartet, he thought that everything was incorrect. And Yi Bajian, Zipping is really not the son of prophecy in his heart. Now, looking at the real changes in the village of Kurigakure, and what he has done for Konoha, it adds to the strengthened the idea in his mind. Contradictory, yet so true. Change he saw. A village full of dead silence suddenly came to life. Not everyone can do this kind of thing. Come on, human beings are hypocrisy. Lama Li, who was used as a pillow by Yi Bajian, said disdainfully, I can eat and drink enough and live freely. When someone was bullied, someone stood up to help. This kind of living master is very satisfied, although no one can bully this master's strength. Free. Someone stood up when they were bullied. Fettered. Jiraiya suddenly froze. I'm a big man, but I haven't seen the tail beast thoroughly. His gaze to Bajian, Jiraiya took a deep breath. I am more and more convinced that you are the son of prophecy who changed the world. It's none of my business. Bajian frowned, then stood up in disdain. The coup in Kurigakure village is over, and starting today, one of the 5 major ninja villages on the bright side will become a wooden attachment of leaves. The mission of the land of water is over, and the next moment is the real time of revenge. Swish. A figure jumped up from below. Terumi May of the graceful penultimate fell by Hachiken's side. Now she is not as angry as last night, although her face looks a little tired, but full of spirit. Even from time to time, reform measures for the village of Kurigakure come to mind. Finally Terumi May coughed and looked at Hachiken. Thank you. 063. Although the voice is very small, these 2 words are still clearly transmitted to Bajian's ears. Killed quite a few people in the village of Kurigakure. Is this a complete realization? But speaking of it, it's still very awkward. She finally found out how fun it is to meet the admiration of the people below after becoming Mizukage. Don't rush to thank me, you'd better get it done on time every quarter. Bajian said lightly, by the way, I want to take care of you if you want 2 of them. Extending 2 fingers, Bajian was aroused with strong interest. The first one, Kagaya Kimimaro of the Kagaya clan. Second, Kisame Hoshigaki, by the way, take your Sukazan who betrayed the information about the village of Kurigakure. Fuguki kills it and gives Dato muscle to him. Kimimaro with Kisame Hoshigaki. The most precious thing in these 2 people's impressions is the kind of loyal belief. One has Orochimaru as a belief, the other would rather die than give in. Such a person would be very comfortable if he became a subordinate. The place where Kimimaro was banned seems to have been invaded, and that person is no longer there. As for Kisame Hoshigaki, I do know that Sweeten Water Style is very talented. Terumi May did not understand what the other party meant by asking these 2 people. First more. Code wording. _beg flowers and tickets. Chapter 125 Eye for Eye. Kisame Hoshigaki. I vaguely remember watching the anime, the real man who shredded Mokuden wood style with his last strength, and then let the psychic shark bite him to death. A dozen or so, maybe I'm not useless. A word, it interprets the one of Kisame Hoshigaki. Before he died, he finally saw clearly what kind of person he was. It's just that the ghost is a little confused now. He just graduated from the ninja school, and he is still waiting for the top management of Kurigakure to assign him a task. In a blink of an eye, Mizukage found him and told him a shocking mission. Infiltrate Konoha and find out everything about someone. And in the process, he will become a part of Konoha, and will belong to that person's deployment together. In other words, at this moment, his identity has changed. Stroking the muscular sword he had just started, Gui Zhao turned his attention to the little devil who was chatting with the white-haired man in the distance. Is it him that you are staring at? Even the reason for the reform of Kurigakure village is on him. All the Anbu ninjas around, as well as the legendary Night Owl squad, are his subordinates. This is shocking news. The peculiar pupils stared at each other, and the ghost shark lowered his head. Compared with Joe's interdependent atmosphere, he always felt that something was missing. Hey, it's time to eat. Just then, a voice came. raised his head and looked. Gray Shark's distinctive shark cheeks trembled. This kid is called Uchiha Itachi. Heard that he is Konoha Kenpachi's best friend. But I'm sorry, until now he didn't see any ability of the other party, and he could still play the C position in the Night Owl team. Just a kid. I have the ration pills, thank you. Looking at the dry ration in Itachi's hand, the ghost shark shook his head, took out a ration pill from his bag and ate one. Obviously, he can't fit in yet. Itachi didn't say anything, put the dry food aside and turned away. For this man with a shark face, he is only a little curious for the time being. Are you going to find Tsunade tilde? Distance, Jiraiya looked at Hachiken in surprise and asked. Just now he heard something extraordinary from the mouth of this little devil. Tsunade, and if you can't go, beat it up and take it away. You, Tsunade. Looking through Byakugan, Jiraiya sighed. I know about the Konoha hospital. Tsunade's ability in medical ninjutsu is really outrageous. But 8 swords, Tsunade's departure from the village is not clear in a sentence or two. I advise you to give up the idea. It was long before Tsunade left Konoha now. This can be seen from the fact that Shizune and Kurenai Yuhi graduated at the same time. After Shizune graduated, he left Yi with Tsunade. Inferring the time, he should have only left the village for a few years. It's impossible to remember the pain in the heart at such a short time, so Jiraiya is sure that Tsunade will not agree to go back to Konoha. I have my method. Standing up, Bajian was too lazy to explain. The reason why Tsunade left Konoha is understandable. Kato Dan's death is nothing, the main thing is Naoki all died in action, and the Senju clan gradually lost their voices. The loneliness and helplessness, as well as the incomprehension of Konoha, are the reasons for her to leave. As for the real reason for the disappearance of the Senju clan, she should also be clearer, seeing through the scorching world. She also lost respect for Sarutobi, and changed her title from Teacher Sarutobi to Old Man, but now Konoha's situation has changed dramatically. Sarutobi Hiruzen stepped down completely, and the regiment Hidden Dead can no longer die. Opinions on Konoha could have disappeared. As Tsunadeheim of Konoha, the position of medical minister has always belonged to her. Gotta try. Moreover, it will take time for the next revenge plan to unfold. Taking advantage of the preparation period in the middle, I will find nothing wrong with getting off Tsunade. Ignoring Jiraiya, Hachiken called Kakashi and Uchiha Shisui. Sneak into the land of the earth and investigate the source of all the services in Iwagakure village, the way of travel and the execution of peak periods of the task. The most important thing is to figure out every possible way for them to get out of the village. Also, don't act rashly until I have passed the land of earth. Iwagakure village is there the next target? Kakashi nodded and went down with Shisui to spread the order. It's just that Jiraiya doesn't understand anymore. To say that the village of Kurigakure has been changed is because the village of Kurigakure has been in the blood fog all the year round and needs someone to stand up and change it. Change, giving new life and vitality to the village of Kurigakure. During the mission, he also obtained enough benefits for Konoha. But the village of Iwagakure is not the village of Kurigakure. The prestige of Onoki is unparalleled, the blood of the old man. Eliminating Jinten particle style is also terrible, especially unlike the village of Kurigakure. The upper floors of Kurigakure village are a piece of iron, and the people who disagree with Onoki's political views, Jinchuriki column force, have left the village. In this case, what is Bajian going to do? NT wait for Jiraiya to ask questions. 8 swords hit Zanpakuto and pointed to the sky, and a black Yuhi-colored sword energy rushed to the sky. This is the signal of the assembly. Don't ask why you have to use the moon kiba for the sky, just ask the Reiatsu. Whoosh whoosh. Just 10 seconds, the 200 Anbu gathered together. This gathering speed made the dried persimmon ghost in the distance. Shark was visibly stunned. Standing awkwardly on the side of the team, not knowing where he should go, he was finally pulled by Itachi to Yi Xiao's end. Left side tilde remember the purpose when we came out. Hit Zanpakuto on the shoulder. Bajian took Kyubi, Nine Tails, by the ear and threw it towards his chest. Bang bang, llama eyes full of gold stars. Blood debt. Blood compensation. Jiraiya jumped under the violent roar. Eye for eye. Is the purpose of going to the land just to kill people? Disperse. Order, Anbu's ninjas shuttled through the forest, and soon only the 8 swordsmen. Jiraiya 2 people. Let's go, it's fine, I'll tell you why on the way. Where Tsunade is, whether the short book street or the country of soup, Bajian doesn't know. But Jiraiya travels all year round and always knows some big gambling establishments. Tsunade, a veteran gambling dog, will definitely appear in that kind of venue. So it's wise to let Jiraiya take him to find Tsunade. The troops are divided into 2 groups. Anbu Ninja travels to the land of the earth, while Hatchikan and Jiraiya embark on a journey to find a luxury car. 3 days later, in a town adjacent to the land of water. Of the 8 swords with the sword and Jiraiya caught most of the attention. Jiraiya next to him, Bajian sighed and sat on the bench by the roadside. If you have the time to figure out what I'm thinking, wouldn't it be fragrant if you write more small essays? The club turns around. Are you tired of thinking so much? The second code word ing. Chapter 126 Hello, old woman. With a sigh, Jiraiya broke off half of the 2 butterfly brand popsicles in her hand and handed them to Bajian. Although it is not hot in autumn, it is also very enjoyable to eat a cool cold drink. What he was thinking in his heart, Jiraiya believed that the 8 swords next to him knew very well. But there were some things he didn't know how to say. When a person's past beliefs are broken, they will fall into confusion. Bajian always let him see with his eyes, but he couldn't stop thinking in his heart. As the mentor who leads the Son of Prophecy, he is very afraid of letting the Son of Prophecy go astray because of his own mistakes. And this kind of thought made Akatsuki even more regretful when the news of the change came into his ears. Some couldn't help but think about it. Is it a bit unqualified as a teacher? Always teach others to understand, believe, and entrust your mission. But he never changed anything. Looking back on the first half of my life, I was full of failures. Well, let me ask you a question. After being silent for a while, Bajian spoke up. If others were always chatting about peace beside him like this, Bajian might give him a slap and let him go to the merit wall to reflect. But Jiraiya can't do it. He was not the best in talent since he was a child, and he has no special blood. He can rely on his efforts to get to today and become one of the legendary Sannin. He is also a person whom Ba 163GN admires very much. Hero Jiraiya. Should not die in the land of rain. You always say that people understand each other and then true peace will follow, then I ask you. Why entrust this belief to your own disciples instead of doing something truly meaningful for peace with your limited life? Bajian's eyes are very serious. Have you ever thought about yourself becoming the one who changes the world? Instead of placing your hope on the intangible Son of Prophecy. Don't say your ability is not enough, you have a lot of power. Taking on the responsibility of changing the world. Own. The confusion in Jiraiya's eyes deepened. The great Toad Immortal said that his mission is to guide the Son of Prophecy, not to change the world. Another brainwashed by Gamamaru. 8 swords turned by Akugan. What did the toad say? 1,000 years ago, Gamamaru could fool Otsutsuki Hamura and Otsutsuki Hagoromo to seal his mother, and 1,000 years later, he could let Jiraiya go to find the Son of Prophecy and change the world. About Gamamaru, but he doesn't bother to get to the bottom of it, although the so-called, as for how to change the ninja world, I told you what I thought in my heart, that is absolute unity. The 3 holy places have been passed down for thousands of years, but what does this have to do with him? AEDF. Bajian sighed and spoke his ambitions again. I watched anime countless times, and even Boren Chuan endured strong discomfort to find the passion of Naruto and Jinchuiki calm son. But it finally turned sour. Naruto got his wish and became Hokage and fulfilled his oath to protect his companions. Facing the invasion of Otsutsuki during the new Chunin exam, he used his life to protect Konoha, but only he knew how fast he was going. On those busy days, I spent more time with my desk than with Hinata. The burden of the two children also changed Hinata from D to A, completely drained. And the 5 countries are very harmonious on the surface, and each shadow has become a friend of Naruto, falling in the mouth of Zeon. But even in such a world, there are still undercurrents and problems arise from time to time. To mention that after Naruto is dead, will the 5 major countries still enter into war in an instant like Senju Hashirama died? This question is probably inevitable. The inheritance of will is true, and the instability of this world is also true. Then wait until the chakra of Indra and Ashura reincarnate again, and a new dispute will also begin. So, why not correct a fundamentally wrong world, achieve real unity, and then develop sensible plans and measures? Although such a world is unlikely to be stable for a long time, prosperity and development for at least a few hundred years can still be achieved. As long as the highest combat power that achieves peace does not die, then the stability will continue forever. This is the idea of the 8 swords. First step, changing the Konoha is over. The next step is to eat the resources provided by the village of Kurigakure, slowly assimilate the village of Kurigakure, and merge the entire territory of the Land of Water into Konoha. It will take a while, but it won't be long. On the premise of stabilizing this process, let the other ninja villages in the ninja world fear Konoha, and let them understand that Konoha is strong and will not dare to shoot Konoha from now on. This has to be done. You can't be beaten without fighting back. People united and invaded around Konoha. Even if they attacked, they had to endure it. It's not fair to Konoha. It's just as unfair to the villagers and ninjas who died in the battle to defend their homes. Therefore, a counterattack is inevitable. Especially the attitude of Iwagakure village is at ease and does not feel that he has done something wrong, which makes the killing intent of the 8 swords greatly increased. At least learn from Kumogakure village, did not participate, and even sent the letter to Konoha. But the country of Hefeng, the country of Earth, just kept silent, as if it had never happened. Why? In short, I've said everything I can say. I'm not really interested in changing the world, but I'm still willing to try to make Konoha-kun the world. Standing up, he swallowed the popsicle whole, and Bajian threw the popsicle stick to Kurama. Will you fight back if you were beaten? Sorry, that's not what Konoha is doing now. I'm going to tell the dead. If you can't make a change, just follow me and I promise to see peace come before you die. This said, Jiraiya went straight to Byakugan and stood up with 8 swords. But just when he wanted to ask about the details, the young man beside him suddenly disappeared, raising his head and 2 familiar figures appeared in the distance. Wouldn't it be so coincidental? The corner of Jiraiya's mouth twitched. This town does have a fairly large casino, so he brought Bajian to try his luck. How could he know that the other party was actually here? It seems that there is not a single point left to lose and prepare to leave. It's bad luck. At the exit of the town, the gray-haired blonde girl is walking out with meditation, and her mouth is in the mouth. What are you saying in pieces? The girl next to her sighed helplessly. When was the last time you won money? Losing, shouldn't it be the norm? Just then, a voice suddenly came from behind. Shizune, who was hugging the pig, ran away the moment he heard the content. Hello, old woman. Boom. Tsunade, who was not in a good mood, punched directly in the past. She wanted to see which one who didn't open her eyes opened her mouth and said an old woman. Originally, I was in a bad mood today, but this old woman completely ignited her anger. Does the old lady look old? But when she saw someone who was only as tall as her headlights, she suddenly panicked. It's a kid. There seems to be nothing wrong with the kid calling himself an old woman. It's over. This punch is afraid that he will be seriously injured even if he takes it back. Even if you lose money, you have to give people free treatment. What is this? Then when her head was completely smashed down, a shocking scene appeared. When she raised her head a few centimeters away from the other side, the weak-looking hand grabbed a strange knife was placed in front of him. Suddenly, the air wave broke out. The ground behind the boy began to crack. But the young man himself remained motionless and did not even receive any influence. Only a certain fox lying on Bajian's shoulder flew out at a speed of 300 miles per hour. Listen carefully. The fox seemed to be flying and screaming at the same time. My uncle will be back. Old woman, you wait for this uncle. Mom eats popsicle sticks, and that kid was beaten and injured. It was Uncle Ben. What's the point? The third. Code wording. Chapter 127. He is Konoha Kenpachi, the one who captured Reikage alive. This kid is not easy. When she regained some strength and raised her head to hit the knife, the anti-shock force from above even made her feel numb. But the other party did not respond. Not even a step back. This is how the Slug Princess, one of the Konoha Sannin, greets you. Eight Swords frowned and looked at Tsunade. If the person who shouted out the words, "old woman," was an ordinary person, he would be seriously injured if he didn't die. Even if the temper is violent, it should not be so messy. If it wasn't for the fact that he gathered the Reiatsu on Zanpakudo, and the physical improvement brought about by the long-term swing of the sword to complete the daily tasks, I am afraid that he would have to take a few steps back. Terrifying power. It comes from the blood of the body, as well as precise chakra control. Chakra-enhanced strength. Interesting. Withdrawing the knife, Bajian exhaled. Who are you? Tsunade was equally puzzled that a little devil could catch his own fist. Even if she deliberately took some strength when she saw the other party's age, she couldn't be so peaceful. This dress. Shizune, who was behind Tsunade, was stunned and suddenly remembered that he was about to report something, but Jiraiya, who was far away, came over and interrupted his train of thought. Jiraiya, what are you doing here? Tsunade was also stunned. I didn't expect that I would suddenly meet my old friend in such a small place. Get out of the way, go far. At this moment, Bajian suddenly turned around with a low cry. There, a ferocious chakra full of evil soared into the sky. When a huge amount of chakra slowly formed, the roaring Kyubi, 9 tails, rushed over from a distance. Fed up. Why do you treat this uncle like this? Kurama, who was beaten and flew out, was completely angry. That kid beat himself up. What's so good about you, old woman? I couldn't handle you in your grandmother's belly before, but now that my uncle is out, he will be bullied by you. Roar. The fierce roar made the townspeople flee in terror, and Tsunade at the exit was completely stunned. That's Kyubi, 9 tails. Why is Kyubi, 9 tails, here? What happened to the village? Could it be that something happened to Kushina? No way. The one I just flew out was Kyubi, 9 tails. A terrifying thought came up in Tsunade's mind. It's leeway. Don't stare at Tsunade. If it runs wild here, I'm afraid this town will be destroyed. Jiraiya has a solemn expression, and she has put her hands together and is ready to enter sage mode. Hearing Jiraiya's words, Tsunade also woke up. The yin seal on his forehead was emitting a little light, ready to suppress Kyubi at any time, 9 tails. Just from the chakra of the destruction piece, they can feel a strong sense of oppression. This is the strongest tailed beast sealed within Uzumaki Mito. And now it is not divided into two. No one knows how strong the strongest tailed beast is. What makes Jiraiya and Tsunade nervous the most is that the terrifying tailed beast bomb is brewing in front of its mouth from this distance. I told you to go away. Didn't you hear it? Boom. Reiatsu broke out, and Bajian glanced back at Tsunade indifferently. Little devil, are you dying? Tsunade is furious. The old lady doesn't even bother to protect you. Let me go further. Jiraiya was in a dilemma, looked at the approaching Kyubi, 9 tails, and the 8 swords in front of him, bit Kiba and withdrew to the side. The distance is close. Kyubi, 9 tails, who had destroyed all power, rushed straight to the exit of the town. Old woman. How arrogant you are. An angry Kyubi, 9 tails, has lost his mind. Originally it was not so angry, but when it flew out, it suddenly thought of a lot of things. The original Hokage that will use Mokuden, wood style. Excessive to the extreme. Seping fell into the meeting. It was facing the wooden figurine that was bigger than the complete body, and was pinched with one hand. The worst is coming. Kyubi, 9 tails, you are too strong. So I'm going to seal you. Thank you so much, sir. It can't beat the first generation, but bullying your granddaughter and asking your granddaughter to see you in advance is something this uncle is very willing to do. A beast, a beast. Even Kyubi, 9 tails, who was influenced by Naruto in the later period, still has a violent temper. What's more, now, I have just experienced a human life beside Bajian, and the animal nature still exists in him. Tame the tail. Want to get the real letter of the tail beast. It's not that easy. 8 swords knew this, so it took Kyubi, 9 tails, on the road. The purpose is to show a little attitude when it can't stand it and wants to explode. The attitude of the same beast. Otherwise, if he runs wild in Konoha, Naruto is still young and does not have the essence of Master's mouth escape. I am afraid that the disgusting thing in the original book is that the ghouls are sealed and they will be released. The huge figure is getting closer. Tsunade, who was behind Hachiken, had a sliver of sweat oozing from his nervous forehead. Jiraiya stood by the side with a worried face, and the movement of clasping her hands together still did not stop. And just at the moment when the disaster is about to come, Bajian picks up Zanpakuto and inserts it into the ground to open his arms. The pupils shrank instantly, and the eyes of the needle Meng stared straight at Kurama's eyes. Calm down, Kurama. Boom. Reiatsu outbreak. The mind-blowing power made Tsunade, who was behind him, couldn't help but take a few steps backwards. A completely different power than chakra fills her mind with negativity. This kid. Tsunade stared at the back in shock. Who is he? Why have such a powerful force? Calm down, Kurama. Someone is calling Uncle Ben. Kurama, who was a little out of control in anger, had only one person left in his eyes. Tsunade slowly lowered his head. He stood in front. That kid, with his hands open, does he think this uncle really doesn't dare to take you? Humans are hypocrites. He will definitely attack this uncle. Let out a growl. Lee Lama's body doesn't seem to stop. 10 meters. 5 meters. 3 meters. Damn, this uncle is afraid of you. In the end, when its body collided, the tailed beast bomb in front suddenly turned its direction and rushed towards the sky. Finally, it stopped. Boom. A deafening explosion sounded completely over the town. The earth is shaking. Tailed beast bomb with complete physical strength has refreshed everyone's understanding of tailed beasts. But in the end, this innocent town was spared the disaster. When everything is at peace. Kurama snorted and gradually shrank, slowly jumped onto Hachiken's shoulder and closed his eyes. Gone. This kid. This uncle is not afraid that you will get hurt, but that he can't beat you. That is it. Forget it, give that kid some face, just think it's for those few bottles of drinks. Is this the end? Tsunade behind him was covered in cold sweat, his eyelids twitching. Jiraiya in the distance finally breathed a sigh of relief. Kid, who are you? Quote. After a full minute of silence, Tsunade asked his own question. Lord Tsunade, Konoha is known to use knives, and he is the only one who is so strong. Shizune, shivering, swallowed. He's Konoha Kenpachi. Konoha hero who captured Raikage alive. Fourth more. Code wording. Chapter 128 Kurama. This uncle not only scolds you, but also scolds your ancestors. Trust doesn't happen overnight. Eight Swords had a contract with EPUB, Nine Tails, including letting it help turn Naruto and Minato into true golden legends. This requires accumulation of time. When it really recognizes a person, there is no need to say too much nonsense. The storm has passed. Night falls. The town regains its lively scene. Tailed Beast bomb during the day didn't hurt anyone. Except for the strong tremor, it didn't affect the lives of the town residents. In the barbecue shop next to the casino, several Dodge figures have attracted the attention of many residents. But in the end, it's just to take a second look, especially the knife club placed next to the boys' sparkle from time to time is particularly eye-catching. Eat, and let me feed you. A tender piece of meat was fragrant and clearly overcooked. Kurama with a fork, Hachiken said. Kurama snorted and didn't say anything, just stretched out his small paw and pointed at the wine gourd next to the 8-3-5 swords. The meaning is obvious, I always feel boring to eat barbecue without drinking. Bajian was helpless and threw his wine gourd in front of it. This guy is still angry. Just because I stopped it from hitting Tsunade. In the meaning of what this guy said before, it just wanted to punch Tsunade out of anger. Who thought Tsunade her grandfather would seal it if she disagreed? It can't beat the old, and it feels necessary to bully the young. And the old woman really knocked it out. Otherwise it wouldn't be so big. In essence, it is like a simple child. And a little Tsunade. Shaking his head, Bajien looked at Tsunade and Shizune who were dumbfounded in front of him. Essentially, both of them are nurses. That is, the medical ninja, or a very good medical ninja. Among them, Tsunade is the best, and so is Shizune. This precious medical ninja is indispensable to Konoha, so just now he has said, "Look what I do, I'm an old woman, what's there to see?" Own purpose. A cold face, Tsunade snorted at Hachiken. It's good to know, an old woman is an old woman, you have to pretend to be tender. Speak, Kurama next to him started to get angry. Who are you calling an old woman? The old lady is fighting with you. You can't chew your ass, can you? Tsunade was utterly furious, and the shit-tailed beast had been muttering ugly things like an old woman since they came all the way to the kebab shop. Originally, she was extremely annoyed at such revealing of her age, but after all, she had provoked EPUB, Nine Tails before. But now, these words are digging into her ears desperately. If you don't correct it, I'm afraid this nickname will be with her forever. Where is the old lady? Tsunade thought angrily. Say you, what's the matter? I want the uncle to say that Uzumaki Mito is much stronger than you. This yin seal was originally passed down by the Uzumaki family and perfected by that woman, and then in your hands, Uzumaki Mito is very self-aware and only seals chakra. What about you? You have shamelessly changed your face since you learned this trick. I don't want to grow old, so I just use the way I look when I wear open crotch pants to meet people, so I don't have to go to the toilet. Speaking of which, it's over. The first time I found out about EPUB's Nine Tails, Eight Swords, it was a bit of a headache. You are the strongest tailed beast, you must be a troll. Eat meat. Directly put a piece of hot barbecued meat into Llama's mouth and pressed EPUB, Nine Tails' head firmly to make him go in and look at Tsunade. Well, give me a face, my dog's mouth is not very sharp lately. But let me remind you, you'd better apologize to it, or you won't be able to get rid of the old woman's name. Besides, you'd better not do anything with it, it has been unhappy with you for a long time. Oh no, it's not just you, whether the Senju family's main clan family or their relatives, it looks unhappy. Boom. Tsunade slapped the table with his face ashen, and the chakra on his body was already exuding. Why? It's been a long time since you saw the old lady. The old lady is looking for it to mess with it. Want a face? And let me apologize to your dog. It's clear that the old woman was the one who shouted first, or else a monster like EPUB, Nine Tails, can remember to talk about it without stopping. Just because of your respected grandfather, the first Hokage Senju Hashirama was sealed by others because they were strong. The most shameless thing is your ancestor, who sold other people's tailed beasts as war supplies. The calm 8 swords directly opened their mouths and eliminated the first generation. Damn, absolutely. It's so powerful to say. The utterly touched Kurama reluctantly spit out the barbecued meat in his mouth and put it into the bowl of Bajian. In the eyes of the beast, this kind of sharing is extremely generous. It's a pity that Bajian disliked it and put the barbecue cold into its mouth again. Who is disgusting? Little devil, who did you just scold? But on the opposite side of Bajian, the angry people were even more angry. Even the yin seal on the forehead is already showing signs of opening. This is really hot. Jiraiya next to her was so frightened that she didn't dare to breathe. Before, he just wanted to peep, and before he could even get close, he was beaten and his ribs were broken. This kid even joked with the first generation. Well, it doesn't seem like a joke. It seems that he has quite a big opinion on the first generation. A wry smile, Jiraiya didn't know how to resolve the conflict between the two. Originally, an old woman is already very annoying. What should we do now? Presumptuous. That made Jiraiya completely stunned happened. Zipping saw his old buddy being yelled at, and Kurama didn't want to. The little paw slammed the table and jumped directly to the stove, the yuhi-colored chakra wrapping the fat and swollen body. This uncle made it clear to you, what he scolded was the original Hokage Senju Hashirama. Senju Hashirama is a piece of trash. If I hadn't been controlled by Uchiha Madara, let me do it myself, and see if he can beat me. Also, my uncle is here. Not only this brat scolds me, but my uncle also scolds me. Dare you try to touch him? It's not great to give it. Bajian is speechless. If you want to take advantage of the topic to scold the first generation, just scold it directly. What are you doing with me? He did have some opinions on Senju Hashirama, the first generation who was clearly a strong man, but bowed his head to pray for peace, but he didn't scold him. Baijing teamed up with Uchiha Madara to create a man who is worthy of respect. Of course, he didn't figure it out. The first generation hit Uchiha Madara so hard. So laissez-faire for the other 4 countries that clearly have ambitions for Konoha. I really don't understand. Tsunade is already mad, and she looks angrily at Kyubi, 9 Tails. Do you really think I can't beat you? You really can't beat this uncle. Tails smiled disdainfully at 5.4. This old woman is still afraid of Mokuden, wood style. Why don't you and this uncle get into trouble? Go out to practice. Tsunade couldn't keep his face down at all, and rolled up his sleeves to prepare for a fight. It's so frustrating today. She wants to vent her anger. Well, what is the ninja technique to create and regenerate 100 heroes in a mess? Self-healing. Careful, Kurama, this old woman knows 100 things and is attacked. The Muji self-healing passive in the first generation, you know it. Squinting his eyes, Bajian suddenly thought of how to pull this strong old woman back to Konoha and smiled slightly. Then he arrogantly faced Kyubi, 9 Tails, in front of Tsunade and said the opponent's whole card. At this moment, Tsunade is completely crazy. Kid, are you a fucking ninja from Konoha or a missing nin? The old lady invited you to mess with you. 5th more. Code wording. Chapter 129. Who said the Senju clan died? Shouted out. Tsunade seemed to calm down quite a bit. She was really angry. He is also one of Sanin, and Jiraiya is the same generation in terms of seniority. And the kid in front of him is Minato's disciple, so how can she be his senior? Where did he know that Tsunade, the technique of 100 grandeur, was out of his control? But how can you turn your elbows out? Follow me back to Konoha and I'll beat it up for you. Bajian shook his head. He didn't say Tsunade's trump card indiscriminately, he just wanted her to dispel the idea of fighting with leeway. If you really get angry, this town will not be able to keep it. Tsunade doesn't say death, injuries are certain. The side effects of creating regeneration are also great. So stopping this fight is for Tsunade's sake. Now Bajian just wants to talk to Tsunade about returning to the village. Get her back, and I have to go to the land to plan the next step, so I can't let Shisui and the others wait too long. Why go back with you? With a snort, Tsunade returned to his seat. Angry for sure, even if this kid said he was an old woman, he even got involved with her grandfather Senju Hashirama. That is the belief of the Senju family. Forget it, let's change the way of chatting. Bajian shook his head, took a sip of the wine gourd, and you, give me some meat in peace, or my head will be chopped off for you. This is angry. Oh, for the llama pouted and grabbed the barbecue and ate it. What do you want to talk to me about? I just said Konoha that I'm not going back. Tsunade's eyes flashed with pain at the mention of Konoha. It's a sad place. If there is no accident, she will never go back in her life. Although she owed a lot of gambling debts outside, she was used to the feeling of being drunk every day. What is there to go back to in Konoha? Talk about the demise of the Senju clan. Eight Swords said very calmly the words that were most likely to make waves. Who said the Senju clan perished? Tsunade slapped the table and said impatiently. As far as I know, quite a few Senju clan members work in Konoha for education. You call those people the Senju clan? Dare you ask what other characteristics of the Senju clan are there in them? Bajian smiled, full of ridicule and disdain. What the hell do you mean? Tsunade looked solemn, and she always felt like this kid knew something. Let me stroke it from the beginning. Eight Swords said calmly. Senju Hashirama once let the Senju clansmen integrate into Konoha by intermarriage, and even asked them to cancel the Senju surname in order to protect their own clansmen. But the bloodline passed down from Sengoku. It's not so easy to forget the glory of your own clan. The bloodline of the Senju clan will not be without inheritors. So there is still a large number of clan hidden surnames that continue to circulate. Those who integrate into Konoha are just distant relatives, and they don't have much Senju blood. But one day after the death of the first and second generation, the Second Ninja War broke out, and the relatively pure bloodline was also forcibly transferred to the battlefield, including Naoki, who had just graduated from the ninja school. Flapping, something seems wrong. The number of people with hand bloodlines is not small, and the number of deaths is getting more and more exaggerated. The way the first and second generations protect the clansmen is very clever, but some people directly attacked this blood relative. 1,076,207. After a slight pause, Bajian picked up his shoulders. It's Danzo who does it, and Sarutobi who sits on the sidelines. The one who stayed in the end was the disciple of 3 generations, Tsunade Haim, one of Sanin. Frustrated, you left Konoha. After speaking in one breath, Bajian grabbed the wine gourd again. Well, the above is just speculation. Specifically from the Sengoku period, where did the Senju clan who could fight against the Uchiha clan go? Can you give me the next answer? Why did the Senju clan disappear? Where are the people who got into Konoha? Before the death of the second generation, Senju clearly had his own clan land and many clan people. Even if the protector chooses to hide, it is impossible to have only one Tsunade left. Therefore, these conjectures appeared. Although Bajian felt that there might be some deviations in the details, the general direction pointed directly to the senior management of Konoha. There is absolutely nothing wrong with this. And Naoki's death is also very strange. Accidentally entered the danger of the detonating symbol and was killed, and the internal organs were even hollowed out. Is this means necessary? What is the value of a child's internal organs? Combined with the fact that Naoki's teacher was Orochimaru, Hachiken seemed to understand something. The silent yakiniku restaurant, Tsunade fell into silence with a wine glass in his hand. Did not respond to whether what Bajian said was correct, nor did he explain anything. Just sat there dumbfounded. No hurry, he gave Tsunade time to think. What Baijing mentioned today is the sadness of others. While eating yakiniku and drinking, I have nothing to do with Kurama. Time passed by minute by minute. Shizune and Jiraiya also sat there silently. I looked at the darkness outside near the middle of the night, and the baker who wanted to remind that it was closed but didn't dare to come over. Butcher shop owner, Bajien sighed. However, Tsunade-senpai suddenly stood up and held up his glass to Tsunade. Bajien's expression was extremely serious. I don't agree with your grandfather's actions. I think the inheritance of the Senju family is very necessary, and the two-term Hokage Konoha needs such. The flag is passed on. I admit that I disagree with the first generation's approach, but he is still a well-deserved pioneer of Konoha. Is a hero. Like Uchiha Madara, his name will live on in the world. This little devil. Tsunade raised his head and looked at each other blankly. However, as you just said. Who said the Senju clan died? Nodded confidently at Tsunade. Senju clan still exists. Senju Hashirama's granddaughter, you can still live the Senju clan. To pass on. Now, 3 generations are completely retired. Minato teacher is inspirational to change Konoha. Danzo is dead. His blood was spilled on the disgraceful Jinchuriki column in the central square of Konoha. I have already avenged your revenge. Under this circumstance, are you still willing to go back? Konoha needs you, as well as the flag of the Senju clan. After raising the wine gourd and suffocating, he poured the erguotu from the wine gourd into Tsunade's. With the wine glass, Bajien took a deep breath and looked at 8-10's opponent. He tried his best. To be honest, he's not good at talking. Speaking of this level is already the limit. If the other party disagrees, it can only be tied up with sacks. To take away. Glancing at Kurama, who was biting a sack under the table, Hachiken gave him a look. The meaning is obvious, don't move your mouth, just grab it. Konoha needs me. Senju family passed down from Sengoku needs me to pass on. Moreover, it seems that there is no need to face the old man's face. The face changed from calm to excited, and then to the appearance of a little Yuhi-run, and then the old woman in front of him suddenly laughed. The woman's transformation seemed to be flat in an instant. Shock. Little devil, the true clan of the Senju clan, I am the only one left. What inheritance? This is a problem. However, this attitude seems to agree. With a sigh of relief, Bajien suddenly thought of something. It's easy, I turned around and caught Orochimaru. And then let him use your grandfather's cells to subdue a bloodline of the first generation. You first deal with the... Boom. A fist hit Bajien's head, but the soft effect is more like a caress. With her head in front of Bajien, there was a hint of danger in the old woman's eyes. Little devil, forget about subduing people, my mother really doesn't have that hobby. I think, your bloodline is quite good, and QB 9 Tails can't beat you. Huh, have you ever seen a real old cow eat young grass? 6th more. Why do some people say that the author wrote it on behalf of the author? I'm going, it's too unfair, and the author is not stupid. 200,000 words to say that I wrote it on your behalf is really cursing. Chapter 130 let you see the speed of the old woman. Clack. Inside the barbecue shop. The sound of wine glasses colliding seemed harmonious. After Tsunade agreed to go back to the village, Hachiken held Kurama and let him have a clink with each other. Neither of them can say who owes whom. The matter of the ancestors will be discussed later. Kurama has thought about it carefully, it is really not a skill to bully the descendants of others. Clink a glass and drink it up, and it's over. Now on, they are all people of Konoha, so it is good to say that it is good to discuss or to be friends. Mionner, it was given to Yi Bajien. From now on, how Kurama and Tsunade get along depends on their sincerity and fate. After eating and drinking, the owner of the barbecue restaurant finally announced the closing with a sigh of relief. Walking in the street. The town at night is not beautiful. But the unique charm of the country is very pleasing to the eye. Master Tsunade, are you really planning to go back to Konoha? Shizune, who was behind the team, asked in a low voice. Well, it's been a while since I came out. Go back and have a look. Tsunade stretched, and the perfect headlights concealed the dimly lit street lights next to him, which was charming. I thought you really wanted to use him to revive the Senju clan. Shizune mumbled cautiously, and a very expectant smile flashed across his face. Sometimes boredom is a person's physique. It seems that Shizune has this quality. She heard the last sentence of the old cow eating the tender grass clearly. There was even some kind of magical picture in his mind, an indescribable picture, and even her participation in the picture. Pretty bloody violence. Believe it if you're joking. Does that little brat really think he's capable? Tsunade flipped through Byakugan, too lazy to explain. Back to Konoha to make sure what the kid said. Has the village changed? Even Danzo is dead. And what is the so-called wall of merit and shame Jinchuriki column? Tsunade doesn't know. So, she just wanted to see with her own eyes whether the changes in the village were as the kid said, and then decide whether to stay in Konoha or not. A few words, she can't believe all of them. It is not easy to change your mind. The only thing that's trending her back is that she's Konoha's ninja. Now Konoha needs her, a flag of the Senju clan. She will not shirk this responsibility. That's all. Seeing that Yi Bajian's strength is good, you just want to eat tender grass. She's not the kind of nympho who doesn't know anything. It is the Senju family, the last pure inheritor of blood. One of Konoha's Sanin, Tsunadiheim. Little devil. You just said that the troops are divided. Aren't you and Jiraiya going back to Konoha? Speeding up a few steps and walking to Heiken's side, Tsunade suddenly asked. Well, we still have a mission. Bajian didn't answer, but he answered from the afterlife. What mission? When you came out, didn't you make a special trip to find yourself? Tsunade was a little puzzled. Kill people. Well, it's up to you to go straight or you can decide for yourself. Since Shanyu and I are about to hit the road, Bajian calmly shakes Zanpakuto. Since you decided to go back, you are resting in a small town. What's the name of this? Tsunade's mouth twitched, and it's kind of funny to say something like slashing people out of your mouth. You're sure you're beating people, not being beheaded? My code name is really ugly, I have to change it loudly when I look back. Otherwise, when my name is engraved on the merit wall in the future, it will be a big misunderstanding to have a code name of 91 since the beginning of the cow. Jiraiya flipped Byakugan and pulled Tsunade aside. Don't underestimate him. Expression gradually changed, but a flash of pride flashed in his eyes. Jiraiya took a deep breath and looked at Tsunade. You know, how long did it take him to make one of the 5 major ninja villages in Kurigakure village, one of the 5 subordinate villages of Konoha? He stretched out a finger and gestured. In Tsunade's shocked eyes. 1 night. What are you kidding? Tsunade opened his mouth wide, completely unable to believe what Jiraiya said. That is the village of Kurigakure. One of the 5 great ninja villages, as famous as Konoha, became an affiliate. And only for 1 night. How is this possible? Don't doubt, I don't have to talk to you, in fact I was watching the whole process. The current Kurigakure village is a subsidiary of Konoha. Until now, when Jiraiya thinks back on that scene, he still feels a little unfulfilled and feels extremely unreal. But that's the reality in front of you. After the 5th generation Mizukage took over, everything went smoothly. However, due to the pressure that Yi Bajian put on Terumi Mei, she would not have any idea of resistance. As for why Terumi Mei would cooperate obediently, Jiraiya didn't know. After the answer given by Hachiken, when the mission of the Land of the Earth is completed, the village of Kurigakure will understand what the price of resistance will be. He's going to kill people. How much to cut? How much? These are unknown. In order to prevent accidents, Jiraiya is sure to follow up. Tilda, can I go? With intense curiosity in his eyes, Tsunade spoke his mind. What does it mean to go back to the village? If you really get caught and become the bullshit medical minister, I'm afraid you won't have time to drink in the future. Enough is enough. Yes. Looking up and down at the other party, Bajian finally nodded. Not because of Tsunade's strength, but because of the identity of the opponent and the figure in Bajian's mind. He needs Tsunade to do one thing. That dumb body. It is still small now, and if the cause can be detected, it should be able to be dealt with in time. And Tsunade is the one with the highest medical skills in this ninja world. Don't forget, even if little Lee's hand and foot were broken by Gaara's sand, he could be saved and recovered as before. However, even if the cause cannot be detected, Bajian will find a solution from the items in the system mall. In front of him, the so-called terminal illness, good money, is not a problem at all. The only certainty is that Itachi's terminal illness was not caused by Sharingan. The only side effect of Wanwahian is blindness. Tsunade might as well go check on Itachi's body. In addition to Itachi, this time Bajian will stay in the land for a while, and the elites of Anbu will also fight brutally. With a medical ninja around, the death rate will be much lower. This is a good thing, so Bajian will naturally not refuse. If we want to be together, we don't have so much time to play with you on the road. Grasping Zanpakuto by the ear of Kyubi, Nine-Tails, Hachiken said earnestly. It's a mission, not a pleasure, and you can't keep up. Been underestimated. Tsunade sneered. Little brat, you haven't come out yet when the old lady is on the mission. Go, hit the road. The old lady let you see the old lady's speed group. First more. Code wording. Chapter 131 The Corpse Thrown at the Gate of Iwagakure Village. According to the intercepted intelligence from the village of Iwagakure, tonight they will send an intelligence team to the Land of Thunder via this road. The strength of the team members is unknown, but the analysis is made by comparing the strength of the previous intelligence team. There will be Jonin in the team, and their purpose is to find out if Raikage and Killer Bee in Kumogakure village have returned to fighting. Land country. The names of countries in the Hokage world are strongly associated with geographical features. The land of soil, as a country where mountains and plains are intertwined, the soil provides them with extremely rich food resources. The inner village of Iwagakure, the military force of the land, is surrounded by a large rocky mountain and has a solid defense. But standing on a certain mountain outside Iwagakure village, Bajian felt that this kind of defense seemed extremely autistic. Communication between the village and the outside world is somewhat difficult. And there are only a few roads leading to the outside world. Hearing the analysis from Kakashi next to him, Hachiken touched his chin. Saping Onoki never imagined in his life that such a strong defense would eventually become the prison of Iwagakure village. Like what Jiraiya said, the regimes in the land and in the village of Iwagakure are unbelievably stable. Bajian never wanted to seize power and control the top. Onoki's Jinten particle style is not so easy to deal with. With the will of stone, he would never agree to become Konoha's subordinate. So 027, killing is inevitable. Owl, what should we do? Kakashi asked with a serious look. Yi Shao, it's time to show it in front of everyone in the ninja world. With Zanpakuto, the murderous intention of the 8 swords is great. Let the rest of the Anbu squad continue to stare at a few more exits starting today, who is coming out of Iwagakure village. Remember, it's anyone. Don't stay alive. The bloody words made Kakashi's heart beat violently. Don't stay alive. With 200 Anbu ninjas, does Owl actually want to pack Iwagakure village? Don't worry, it's what you trained at Konoha. If the other party dispatches a large army, or Tsuchikage personally takes action, I will tell the perception ninja to convey the news as soon as possible. Patting Kakashi on the shoulder, Bajian took a step forward and jumped down the mountain first, followed by Kakashi. The Night Owl team below has been assembled. Tsunade, who was wearing a gambling cloak, stood in the far corner and stared at 8 swords. Of course, she didn't join Yi Shao's team, and Bajian didn't invite her. After traveling day and night to the land of the land, Tsunade seems to have a strange idea. She wants to see how strong this kid is. Was able to stop her punch before, and calm Kyubi, Nine Tails, with one look. There are too many secrets on this kid. Especially since he actually knew about the Senju clan, these things are not something that ordinary people can analyze. The more mysterious it is, the more it will attract attention. As for helping Uchiha Itachi check her body, she neither agreed nor refused. Baijing Senju and the Uchiha clan, and we will decide whether to treat or not if we observe the array. Raise Zanpakuto high. Kurama on his shoulders also cheered up Kiba for a while, even mighty. Left to right. Uchiha Shisui, Uchiha Itachi, Hitaki Kakashi, Might Guy and Jiraiya who just joined Night Owl Squad. Counting myself, the powerful team of 6 people has already shown its edge. Sometimes Bajian even thinks whether Yi Xiao at this time has the capital to fight against Akatsuki. If Pain attacks in the future, and Pain Six Paths encounters the Night Owl Squad, what will be the result? In this regard, Bajian has some expectations. Under the night, the sword light flashed, and Bajian let out a low roar. Night Owl. In an instant, everyone pulled out their weapons and entered a state of combat readiness. Only Tsunade next to him scratched his head suspiciously, then rolled up his sleeves and started to move. Swish. With the figure of Bajian rushing out, night fell completely. The night of the land is not silent. Although the land adjacent to the land of winds is not as violent as the land of winds, it will also be involved. Some yellow sand spreads on the road, and the land of earth is not as densely covered with forests as the land of fire, and the strange rocks that can be seen everywhere are the most beautiful scenery. Midnight. Dozen figures sprang out of Iwagakure village to the road leading from Iwagakure village to the land of thunder. They are very familiar with this road, and there is no place that is particularly vulnerable to ambushes. So vigilance has also decreased a lot. Captain Purple Earth, what exactly does Lord Tsuchikage want to do? As they were on their way, a dark-skinned, pockmarked female ninja asked suspiciously. Why do you ask so many? You know the temper of Lord Tsuchikage, just do your own thing. Love will do. Z2 shook his head. The answer to this question is obvious. Although it is an era of peace, the master is the most threatening and tolerant. The combat effectiveness of the village is a condition that a big ninja village should have. Konoha has gone through changes, and Lord Tsuchikage seems to have stopped taking Konoha as a threat and refocused the target. Newly placed above Kumogakure village. The reason is not difficult to analyze. It is time to start the negotiation that was not completed last time. How much profit can be obtained depends on whether the high-level combat effectiveness of Kumogakure village is restored. This is the core purpose of this team. As he was on his way, Z2 suddenly felt a chill in his heart. Instantly looked up to the front. Lois was attacked by the breeze, and in the yellow sand that was neither high nor low, several figures were standing there calmly. Enemy attack. Almost immediately, Z2 came back to his senses and gave a signal. But time seems to have stood still at this moment, accompanied by a humming in both ears. His head flew to the sky. In the end, what was imprinted in his mind was a figure that was not a Gundam, and a needle that did not resemble a human being. The blood from the pupil flew into the air, mixed with the mud that was swept up into the sky, and completely dyed it Yuhi. The screams came one after another, and Kakashi, who cut off the back of the team, held Reikiri and Shisui in his hands to complete the silence. Coordination. They were greeted by the blood-stained Zanpakuto. In just a few breaths, the unsuspecting squad was wiped out. As Bajian said, there is no need to leave alive. He's here to kill. Throw their bodies at the gate of Iwagakure village. Starting from Zanpakuto, Hachiken said to Kakashi indifferently. Yes. Nodding, Kakashi instructed the team to start carrying the bodies. Wind blows the earth. The new Lois hides what's happening on the ground. A drop of blood flows from the tip of the 8 swords. This is just the beginning. Leave a word. Yi Xiao once again disappeared in the darkness. Second more. Code wording. _ Chapter 132. Does Konoha not have the confidence? Early morning. When the ninja guarding the entrance to the village of Iwagakure slowly woke up from the demonic illusion, a cry of grief filled the entire village of Iwagakure. Corpse. Bloody corpse. All are their familiar faces, their companions. The scars on it, and the tragic appearance of their heads, cut their inner parts like knives. Yesterday, with confidence, these companions handed in their passes to the outside of the village to execute 1,000. But now they all died in front of them. The screams of grief attracted more ninjas from the village of Iwagakure. In an instant, the village was shrouded in a haze. Why don't they attack Konoha with such grief on their faces, you say? Shisui, who was watching this scene from a distance, sighed. Hatred is nurtured in the killing, it seems like a cycle that never stops. Jian-sang said, let's not think so much. Itachi shook his head, he experienced how brutal those people were when they invaded Konoha. This situation is nothing compared to the picture in my mind. Just follow Jian-sang and watch the changes in the future. Change requires victims, this is an inevitable phenomenon. Itachi has seen too much, just as Jian-sang said, putting the pattern in the whole world, only. You will see how small this death is. When are you going to wake me up? It's like I don't know the truth. And that's not what the original words of the Eight Swords said. What he said was that the Uchiha family is insane. Can't stand stimulation, so can't think wildly. Although I don't know what neurosis means, it doesn't seem to be a good word, so you really listen. Went in. Shisui turned over Byakugan, pulled Itachi and turned away, ending the observation mission. Boom. Tsuchikage building, inside Onoki's exclusive office. A crisp sound came from far away. The fragile desk was reduced to crumbs under the angry palm of the sturdy third-generation Tsuchikage. Who did it? This is provoking the village of Iwagakure. Naturally provocative. Prestige unique in Iwagakure village Onoki, the kind that would be used during the reign of Konoha Sarutobi Hiruzen. Danzo's blocking from time to time is totally different. The whole village of Iwagakure, only he Onoki's voice. And his identity deserves this respect. The grandfather is the first-generation Tsuchikage Shihei, and the master is the second-generation Tsuchikage Wu. This relationship also makes him the third generation. Replacing Tsuchikage was extremely stable, without the slightest pressure. The only difference of opinion represents Lao Zi, who has left the village at this moment. He is the unique Tsuchikage, bearer of the will of stone. But even with such absolute authority, his subordinates were killed and thrown into the village of Iwagakure. Doorway. Is this a demonstration against him? He angrily listened to Lois, who was in charge of examining the body next to him, and he could no longer control his inner thoughts. Anger knocked over the table. The wound is cut by a sharp blade, and it is basically a one-shot kill. Zatu has a lot of experience in leading the team, but it is not ruled out that the opponent uses the technique of change to approach and then kill. The situation of beheading. In addition to the stab wounds, several people were pierced through their hearts by the need to escape, and several others also had burn marks on their bodies. As the son of the third-generation Tsuchikage Onoki, Lois' ability is still very good, and after personal inspection, several lethal factors have been identified. Using these factors to analyze the identity of the other party, this is a useful method for ninjas. But sometimes this approach is not ideal. For example, although the village of Iwagakure is a ninja village in the land of the land, it does not mean that there is no Suiden water style. Ninjas, and even those who specialize in Doden earth style, can release other attributes after reaching Jonin. The evasion technique is just ridiculously ineffective, so no one would foolishly fight in that way, but because of the existence of this nature, it is very easy to cover up the scars on the corpse. What's even more troublesome is that today's ninjas usually hide their corpses when they complete their tasks. Up to now, there are very few cases that can be analyzed with cadavers. But those who killed the intelligence team headed to the Land of Thunder didn't hide their thoughts at all, and threw their bodies at the gate of Iwagakure village. As Onoki said, this is a great provocation. Conversely, favorable information can also be analyzed from the above. Raiden, Thunder style. Onoki's face darkened. To send someone to investigate the reality of the Kumogakure village has been leaked. No, even if it is an information leak, this is the trump card of the land. He also understands how many pounds and tales of Kumogakure village, it is impossible to throw the body back so arrogantly. Shouldn't be Kumogakure village. Lois looked dignified. Other people don't know, but this kind of precise cutting into the heart with Raiden, Thunder style. I know the name. Reikiri. Onoki and Lois instantly understood something. Reikiri. Common moves of the famous Sharingan Kakashi. In this unique way, it seems that he is the only one in the entire ninja world. And they didn't know what to say directly, and they determined Kakashi's identity without any basis. You must know that in the Third Ninja War, the one that cut off the supply line of Kanabi Bridge was Namikaze Water. Of Kakashi's team, their ninja died with very similar wounds to this one, Konoha. Onoki took a deep breath and calmed down. The will of the stone symbolizes perseverance and perseverance. He understands this, but sometimes he can't get it right. It's also not ruled out that someone mastered this trick and then criticized Konoha. Anyway, it's Reikiri without a doubt. Lois nodded, thought about it, and said again, Father, considering that we had other shinobi villagers attacked Konoha together. If it was really done by Konoha's ninjas, would it be revenge? Konoha, what a joke. With a sneer, Onoki had a look of disdain on his face, from their original Hokage Senju Hashirama to the third generation of Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, the old man has dealt with it. Except for the second generation Hokage Senju Tobirama being a bit tricky, the other two would never have the courage to take the lead in provoking an attack. Even the newly appointed Namikaze Minato will definitely be suppressed by 3 generations in terms of prestige and means. Sarutobi is the kind of ninja who can endure. How could he agree to this kind of revenge? Konoha, I don't have that confidence. Boom. The door to the room was suddenly opened, and a hurried Iwagakure village ninja rushed in. Lord Tsuchikage, someone has been killed again. Boom. Where? Take the old man over there. Angry Onoki kicked the crippled Mukuro off the poor desk, grabbed the ninja and rushed out. He is already furious. The third. Code Word Factory. Chapter 133. At this moment, on behalf of Konoha, I declare war on the village of Iwagakure. Unlike the bodies found before. This time the location is on a small road 1,000 meters away from the village of Iwagakure. Similar to the previous method of death, it was all one-shot kills. Looking at the corpse in front of him, Onoki bit Kiba and held his head up. This is his subordinate who ordered the patrol to look for the enemy's trail. Someone was killed in the village of Iwagakure, and the body was sent to the gate of the village of Iwagakure, which proved that the enemy would not go very far. So it is necessary to send the pursuit ninja to investigate. He didn't expect that the elite team of Iwagakure village, which he had carefully cultivated, would be so incompetent. I vaguely remember the vigor of these subordinates when the order was issued. Just so dead. The sadness in his eyes turned into anger, and the aura on Onoki was extremely unstable. Who is it? The old man's roar always makes him feel particularly heart-wrenching. But just when he finished saying this, he suddenly felt the instinctual danger of 8 or 50 danger, and flew into the air without any hesitation. The next second, a black Yuhi-colored light struck from the front. Wherever you go, whether it is hard rock or soft soil, it all vanishes. Black Yuhi-colored sword. After Zubai gave Bajian a mask, the power of boom. The ground was shaking, the entire space became extremely unstable, and all the ninjas in Iwagakure village who did not respond disappeared without a trace. The power of this flash is terrifyingly strong. A truly devastating force. The only pity is that after the sword's virtual flash rushed to the distance and blew up a mountain, there was still a figure in the air. 2-day scales Onoki. The third generation of Tsuchikage in the village of Iwagakure. Aware of the danger, he immediately flew into the sky. But the guards who came with him were not so lucky, and they just wiped out the whole army. If Onoki is slow to react, or if he resists with defensive ninjutsu such as Tuliubi, then Bajian is sure that he will be seriously injured even if he does not die. After becoming virtual, possessing the abilities of both the god of death and the virtual at the same time, the ordinary Doden Earth style that destroys everything is absolutely unstoppable. This is the confidence of the 8 swords. Dead. All dead. Onoki in the air looked dull, watching this scene in disbelief. What kind of terrifying power is this? Playing Zanpakuto, step by step as if stepping on the air and walking into the air, Bajian looked at the old man in front of him. 2-day scale Onoki. If you look at Onoki from the outside, there is no doubt that he is a respectable Tsuchikage. But on the opposite side, those so-called respects can't affect Bajian Shinhei's mentality. Who is your excellency? Whoever could launch such a horrific attack would never be anonymous. Onoki knew this very well, and with anger and puzzlement in his heart, Onoki roared at the 8 swords. The village of Iwagakure has no reason with his excellency. Why do you do this? No injustice. Is this your realization? You can take the initiative to attack others, but others cannot fight back. Well, people in this world are old double standards, there is no need to be serious. Seems to notice something. Onoki's eyes finally fell on Bajian's arm. There, the forehead guard representing Konoha Genin was tightly tied, as if mocking his eyes. A kid in Konoha. Etc. With a knife, and such a powerful kid. Are you that Konoha Kenpachi? The enraged Onoki came to his senses in an instant. This kid in front of me has no idea of hiding his identity at all. Onoki is not stupid. In fact, as the 3rd generation Tsuchikage of Iwagakure village, he has always paid attention to the rumors of the ninja world. He has heard the legend of Konoha Kenpachi. But for rumors, no one will take it as true. After seeing the terrifying knife just now, Onoki understood. This kid is stronger than the rumored one. Why? Onoki bit Kiba and spit out 3 words grimly. Why did you invade the territory of the land and still attack the villagers of Iwagakure village? Why? Bajian was stunned for a while. He already knew his identity, but he was still asking why. Co-author, do you really think about attacking Konoha? Lick your old face and ask why. Why attack the village of Iwagakure? Aren't you afraid to start a war between the land of fire and the land of soil? Onoki's eyes flickered. He's not as stupid as he thinks, but the attack on Konoha is a part of the big ninja villages. According to common sense, even if Konoha knew that the village of Iwagakure was involved, this dumb loss must be eaten. Because they have no evidence. In case of revenge, the 3 major ninja villages except Kumogakure village are all targets of Konoha. If you do it, it will even evolve into the 3rd ninja war. Konoha definitely doesn't have that dynamism. Times have changed, Onoki first. The weak Konoha in your mind is already in the past tense, and what I said, it seems that you all forgot. Remind you once again under 0. As long as I'm standing there, Konoha is the #1 tobacco village and no one will be provocative. A long sigh came out of Bajian's mouth, and then a sneer appeared on his face, pointing at Zanpakuto. You just said war, didn't you? Well. Below, in the capacity of Minister Konoha Anbu, take the power of Hokage on your behalf. At this moment, on behalf of Konoha, I declare war unilaterally on the village of Iwagakure. To the death. All along, it was other shinobi villages that declared war on Konoha. And now Konoha took the initiative to invade and directly change the role. Declare war. Is he serious? Onoki froze. This little devil, do you know what the word declaration of war means? That means that starting from today, the 2 ninja villages will be completely plunged into war, and people will die. And the death toll is comparable to the number of ninjas who died today around the village of Iwagakure. Little devil, you don't need to be so arrogant in front of this old man. A guy who doesn't know how to respect his seniors. Don't underestimate Tsuchikage. Jinten particle style. Split detachment of the primitive world technique. Putting both hands on the chest, the extremely special white light began to expand. Jinten particle style. Bajian squinted his eyes and the figure flew into the air instantly. Zaraki Kenpachi's template has been unlocked by nearly a third. At this moment, he is already the real god of death. As the god of death, the physical fitness of the 8 swords that inherited the Sword 8 has skyrocketed, and this kind of shunpo, which is faster than the shunshu technique, is no problem to avoid this kind of attack. Jinten particle style belongs to the blood following the elimination of Kekkei Genkei. The power is extremely powerful 5.7. But the number of people killed in the original book is extremely limited. The reason is very simple. Unless you use the super wide attack method of detachment of the primitive world technique, it is very difficult to attack people. 8 swords are the god of death. Death is an existence standing in the sky. Flying is just one of the abilities. When the furious Onoki finished playing Jinten particle style, he saw Yabajian flying even higher than him. I advise you not to get mad here, that thing can't hit me. And I'll give you a present after the declaration of war, so you might as well look back. Pointing behind Onoki with Zanpakudo, Hachiken had a bright smile on his face. Tailed Beast Bomb of the full QB, 9 tails, please accept it. Boom. Earth, start to tremble. Disaster has officially come. 4th more. Code wording, today I feel really uncomfortable, I want to vomit so the code word speed is very slow, yes. Sorry readers. Chapter 134 Art, this is real art. When Onoki turned around, disaster struck. Maybe the day his life comes to an end, he may regret his choice today. If you don't look back, the catastrophe will not happen. That's only if. He no longer has the capital to regret. The splendid tailed beast bomb exploded as the last scene of Iwagakure village. Power tail. The most powerful tailed beast. Heart with it and turn on the QB, 9 tails, chakra mode, you can even turn on the golden body. Based on this alone, it is not comparable to other tailed beasts. Not even 8 tails. And according to Lee Lama, even tailed beast bomb is graded. If you are not happy to let it brew for 10 or 20 minutes before throwing tailed beast bomb, the lethality is unimaginable. Of course, it will also become weak due to the release of chakra. The chakra of the tailed beast is never infinite, and there is an essential difference between approaching infinity and infinity. Therefore, the general tailed beast will not do that, and the amount of chakra in the body will increase the amount of tailed beast bomb. Yuhi black sword into the air. That was the signal to retreat. All done today is enough for Iwagakure village to drink a pot. 04 Onoki was still sluggish, but Bajian didn't attack him directly. A tailed beast. Iwagakure village is not that fragile, and there is no other in Iwagakure village. The number of ninjas is indeed outrageous. The 3rd generation of Reikage died under the siege of tens of thousands of ninjas in the land of the earth. Tailed beast bomb has been released, evacuation is necessary. As for Onoki, even the tailed beast bomb of QB, 9 tails, has limited destruction without full attack, and Iwagakure village needs someone who can stand up. The person in front of me is the 3rd generation Tsuchikage. But any strong person who can be called a shadow will not be weak. For the 8 swords that have not unlocked the super speed regeneration, the threat still exists, that is the terrible power that can break down everything. The opponent is already prepared for his own knife, and it is difficult to kill Onoki in a short time. Keep him, and slowly feel the despair, let him understand why Bajian came here, and then let go of the attitude of speaking in the tone of seniors educating juniors, then Bajian will choose to chat with him calmly. Enjoy it well and take the next step. To the sluggish Onoki, Bajian greeted him like an acquaintance of the other party. Wait, aren't you afraid I'll let my 2 men, Jinchuriki column force, sneak into Konoha and put Tailed Beast Bomb too? The Tailed Beast is the ultimate weapon of a village. Aren't you afraid of Konoha being attacked? The heart-wrenching Onoki turned around and questioned hysterically. Under normal circumstances, even a hostile ninja village rarely uses the power of the Tail Beast, and even if it does, it is used within the tolerance range. Because they know that once the Tailed Beast breaks out, the other party's revenge will follow. This is also the reason why Senju Hashirama distributed the Tailed Beasts to other ninja villages. Tailed Beast Bomb situation in other villages has never appeared. Now, this rule is broken. This kid with Kyubi, 9 tails, is a Tailed Beast Bomb towards Iwagakure village. That is not something Iwagakure village can resist. If he is there, you can call on all ninjas to use Doden, Earth style, to block. If he is not there, it is not certain whether his son Lois can react. Originally, he was glad that Lois didn't come with him to explore the bodies outside the village, but he found that Iwagakure village was even more dangerous than the outside. Sorry, I can cut that thing in half with one knife. Even if it's unfortunate that I'm not in the village, my master, Namikaze Minato, will use the magic of the gods to transfer the Tailed Beast Bomb. It's not difficult. And I promise, if you do that, I will chop off the heads of all the people in the land in front of you, let their blood spill on your face, and finally gather into a warm sea of blood for you to soak in. A bath. Touching his chin, Bajian's smile is so heart-pounding. The temperature of the blood, Your Excellency can't bear it. The bloody breath of the kid in front of him made Onoki's face pale. Is this kind of thing really something a kid can say? The devil. Mad. Are you crazy? You just want to start the 4th ninja war. You are a devil. Why do people like you exist in the ninja world? Devil. At this moment, the most appropriate word to describe Yi Bajian. It is also a word called by countless enemies. This title is even louder than Konoha Kenpachi. The devil in Konoha. That name sounds pretty good. Bajian nodded to Onoki honestly. Thanks for the compliment. Go back to Iwagakure village, maybe your son is not dead yet. Goodbye. The next moment, the figure of the 8 swords disappeared, leaving behind Onoki with a face full of pain and struggle. That kid. Konoha. What exactly did they want? For revenge, is it enough to kill so many of his men? Why destroy the village of Iwagakure? He does not know. Perhaps you will never understand where the bitter fruit of today comes from. Shadow, the old double standard. It's okay to give others pain, but once it happens to you, you seem to be greatly wronged. No wonder Nagato lets people eat rice everywhere. At this time, Onoki is eating less rice, isn't it? Above a certain mountain outside Iwagakure village, Hatchicken is heading to the meeting point set earlier. Seping sensed something, frowning, and the boy's figure fell straight down. Yellow hair, blue eyes. A not-so-tall figure is kneeling on the mountain at the moment, staring at the distance because of the tailed beast. Gorgeous fireworks from the explosion. And he was muttering something 820 in his mouth. After the doubtful 8 swords approached, he finally heard what he was talking about. Art. This is true art. His body trembled, and his appearance seemed to be completely shocked by the visual impact of this explosion. Looking at the bottom of this mountain, Bajian suddenly realized. This is not because the original book always uses the art of explosions to destroy the village of Iwagakure, and is forced to leave the village. Live in Deidara, the building below is exactly the same as the anime scene when Deidara was captured. It's just that he was still young at this time, he looked like he was only 8 years old. But according to Heiken's memory, Deidara left the village at the age of 9, and only when she joined Akatsuki. Just 12 years old, why are you here? Walking to the other side, Bajian asked curiously, according to the time, should Deidara be at the moment? Will appear here. Hey, you're stopping me from appreciating art. His vision was blocked, Didera said angrily. Art. Then I ask you, do you want to meet the artist who gave off the explosion? It's easy to pique an artist's curiosity. Especially knowing what the other person wants. Excited Didera's shoulder, Hatchikin revealed a mysterious smile. Come with me, I'll show you. That's an old artist. 5th. Codewording, _ Chapter 135 Get caught up in crazy Uchiha Obito. Outside the village of Iwagakure. On top of a mountain. More than 200 Anbu's men are resting, sharing today's victory. QB 9 Tails tailed beast bomb is powerful. And taking advantage of the chaos in Iwagakure village, Anbu's shadows also harvested a lot of cattle lives. This is a feat. But not enough to be recorded on the wall of merit. So this team is still hungry for kills. Don't worry, following behind the minister, the dream of being on the wall will never be too far away. And at the top of the mountain, the Night Owl team has been combined. Jiraiya was a little melancholy, and took out a small notebook to record something. And the somewhat bored Tsunade pulled Shizune and sat down on Itachi for a comprehensive examination. Shizune is the one who starts, and she is the one who sees the problem. Until now, she still has a prejudice against Uchiha. But Baijing Uchiha Itachi is that kid's friend, so it's okay to do me a favor. In the middle, Didera stared at the fox in front of him with struggling eyes, lost in thought. Shisui and Kakashi next to him, and Guy couldn't laugh. Are you really the old artist who caused the explosion? Unbelievable suspicion filled Didera's eyes. How can it be? The perfect old artist who made such a big explosion turned out to be a fox. What a joke. This fact is hard to accept. Go, show him a. Calmly threw a bottle of Erguotu to Kurama, and then patted its head. Tui. Boom. Kurama finally managed to get a small-tailed beast bomb in front of Didera, and then slammed it towards the mountain behind him like a sneeze. When the explosion hit, people looked over in amazement. The small mountain was bombed and collapsed in the middle. Really old artist. This explosive art form is truly the essence. Didera was instantly excited, and following QB 9 Tails, he took out the blasting clay from his arms and began to chew it with the mouths of his 2 hands. Spreading her hands, aiming at the clearing over there, Didera took a deep breath. Tui. Art is a blast. Bombing. The demolition llama was full of disgust. That's it. Is this level worthy of an explosion? That, a mistake. A little embarrassed. You're not making a mistake, you're missing a step before using art. Kurama squinted his eyes and said something, and jumped his legs directly on Didera's body and underestimated a few words in his ears. Can this work? Didera's expression changed. Try it if you don't believe me. Kurama said calmly. Good. For art, Nodding, Didera inserted her hand into the backpack she was carrying and chewed it again, then took a deep breath and let out a loud snort at the sky. Lord QB 9 Tails, the strongest tailed beast of the god of explosions, please give me strength. Boom. The blasting clay was thrown to the ground, and everyone was shocked by the shock of the explosion. Shit. Really useful. Didera's eyes lit up and knelt directly in front of QB 9 Tails. Lord Old Artist, please accept me as a disciple. Little things. Smiling and patting Didera's head, Kurama seemed relieved. Bajian could see clearly this guy farted in the clay pocket when he jumped on top of him. What kind of ninjutsu is like flat plus QB 9 Tails' chakra will become a lot more powerful. It is normal for the explosion power to increase. Didera, who was fooled, has completely regarded the power tail as a belief. This is a good thing. People like Didera who died in the original book are indeed a bit embarrassed. People like Faye can build friendships. Even after Impure World Reincarnation was resurrected, he asked Ah Faye if he was alive. In terms of ability, it is also considered a talent. Iwagakure village doesn't want it, and it's no big deal for Konoha to take it. Hey kid, come over here. Just when Hachiken was thinking about how to arrange Deidara, Tsunade suddenly came over and pulled his hand to the side. Is Itachi a big problem? Bajian asked with a frown. It's a very rare disease. Tsunade sighed. Even for me, it's the first time I've seen such a case. From the brain to the lungs to the whole body, there is one meridian that will always be very tight. If it is too stimulated, that meridian will have problems. This disease is well hidden, but when it breaks out, it is equivalent to a terminal illness. Especially the stronger the strength, the more troublesome the treatment will be at that time, because mobilizing chakra will increase the pressure on the meridian of accounting. So, stretched out his hand and interrupted Tsunade's words. The cause of the disease, Bajian has almost understood. The origin of the so-called terminal illness is the negative state accumulated since childhood, and always thinking about problems with Hokage Kakuzu, and the stimulation of the genocide completely caused Itachi's disease to break out. Bajian is too lazy to listen to these factors. Give me a word, can it be cured? He just wanted to know the reason. Tsunade inspection is just a backup solution, it really doesn't work that the system mall can completely solve this problem. The reason why I consulted Tsunade is just to find the right medicine. Even if you exchange it, you need to exchange the right thing. Can't you just let me finish? Tsunade turned to Byakugan. This kind of disease is not actually a disease. It is that the belief in his heart must not collapse. In other words, as long as the person he believes in does not fall, the chance of an outbreak is very small. It's a mental illness. When his comrades fall one by one, the accumulation of depression will get deeper and deeper. In other words, don't die, he's not at all wrong. What the hell is this? 8 Swords turned Byakugan. Forget it, it's enough to turn around and cut the points, but if it is a meridian problem, then Ashura's chakra should be effectively cured. He's still young anyway. As for cranking things up. Squinting his eyes, Bajian hooked his fingers at Itachi. The young man in the future ran over with curiosity in his eyes. Stupid, in the future as long as you think wildly, I will beat you up. However, when his body was checked, he was also a little flustered. Who am I provoking? Itachi looked innocent. Rain country. It was still the familiar rainy day. In an underground cave. Black Zetsu looked at the body that was slowly sitting up in the distance with shock and fear in his eyes. Really come alive. But the current Obito is no longer the real Obito, right? Yeah. My uncle, Afei, has become a human. Go away, or I'll kill you. Body suddenly stopped shaking, and Obito's familiar voice came from the mask. One person, many souls. It's not just physical fusion. In order to mend that extremely uncomfortable sense of lack of soul, crazy belt. The soil even tried to absorb Afei's soul, not only Afei's soul, but also those other abnormal white Zetsu. He is not Nuo him anymore. But a lunatic. As the village of Kurigakure lost. Sharingan turned around slightly, and Obito was breathing a little too quickly. Sure enough, I'm not around to control Yagura's trash that got hit with demonic illusion, even resisting. Can't do it. Absolutely, go to Kurigakure village and see what's going on. No need to go. Black Zetsu was relieved to see Obito returning to his normal state. This guy can change several people a day. The soul talks to him, and now finally suppresses those white Zetsu souls. It was Yaba Sword who took away Kurigakure village. Night 8 Swords. Boom. The soul is struck by lightning. Boom. Obito slammed his head into the wall next to him like crazy. I don't know the pain, maybe this kind of pain in the head is nothing compared to the pain of tearing the heart and soul. He vents again. In the entire cave, only a heart-breaking sentence could be heard. I'm going to kill you. Kill your shop. 6 more. Well, 6 more will be delivered. I'm really unwell today, I'm sorry readers can't continue to add updates. Chapter 136 Konoha Anbu, who suddenly rises up and makes the ninja world tremble. Kurama has one more sincere believer, which does not have much impact on the elite of the Night Owl team and Anbu. Disperse the team around Iwagakure village. Whenever there are ninjas approaching Iwagakure village or those who come out of the village, they will kill them without hesitation. The blood spreads for thousands of meters, and no one cares when the breeze blows. Only the simple and honest land records everything that happened. Personally led the team, relying only on the tacit cooperation of more than 200 people, and even cut off the connection between Iwagakure village and the outside world. It's not that Onoki didn't regroup and charged with the remaining forces of Iwagakure village, but unfortunately, the Eight Swords, who were sensitive to the Reiatsu crisis, always gave an absolutely precise command at the first time, and then ordered Kyubi, Nine Tails, to take its little brother with him. A few shots of art on Iwagakure village, which was originally dilapidated and is being rebuilt. As Eight Swords said, surrounded by rocks, the village of Iwagakure has an enviable natural fortress. But once the road out is full of dangers and you dare not step on it lightly, this place will also become a unique place. Iwagakure in the land of the earth, not all ninjas gather in the village. As a high-level Konoha, Hat Chicken knows this. Ninjas are assassins who hide in the dark. Tens of thousands of Iwagakure village ninjas are hiding in their strongholds in the land of the land or dispatched to other countries for reconnaissance missions. Remains in the village of Iwagakure is only part of it. The killing continued. Relying on radar-style spiritual pressure scanning, the real Bloody 143 came to the land of the land. Death and killing go hand in hand. This Anbu team is fully awakened in blood and battle. A sudden rise. The entire ninja world seems to be affected. The changes in the land could not be hidden from the eyes and ears of the major ninja villages. When they learned what happened, they were completely shocked. 200 Anbu elites, the persecuted ninja village was devastated, and even after paying a very painful price, there was still no way to deal with it. All army raid. Then his home was gone, and although there was nothing of value left in the village of Iwagakure, the survivors were still in the corner waiting for the killing to end. With elite Jonin, waiting for a chance to fight back. Sorry, every time they do this, the attack will be launched from behind them, and it is still their so-called elite who die. That elusive appearance caused the death toll in the village of Iwagakure to skyrocket. In batches, send different teams to stand out and surround them and leave here. The question is, where are they going? Here is their home. If they leave here, where can they go? Counting on the shelter of other shinobi villages. Don't be kidding, after someone in this cruel world learns of your misery, it's not bad to add Frost Ed. The village of Iwagakure is their home. Leaving here, they are not even prisoners. Eventually, Onoki gave up resistance. Consolidating the defense of Iwagakure village while shrinking the force, the reconstruction work was started at the same time. Because he discovered one thing, that as long as they get out of this village, what awaits them is death. This is an invisible fear and psychological oppression. The atmosphere in Iwagakure village was extremely depressed. With the passage of time, a sealed letter was sent to the hands of the major shinobi village shadows. For 3 months, they closely followed the changes in the land of the land. From disdain at the beginning, to exclamation, to silence at the end. They have to admit a terrible fact. That is, if these Anbu elites from Konoha come to their own country to toss once, their fate will not necessarily be better than Iwagakure village. There are also doubts. Isn't Konoha afraid of being retaliated by doing this? Just like the method that Konoha Kenpachi said, sprinkle the blood of all the villagers on his body, let them feel the temperature of the blood. But thinking about it carefully, the elites who were dispatched to the land of fire last time were blocked out without even entering the ninja village. Konoha, scary. That young strong man has finally been recognized by everyone. The land of earth is the first step in Konoha's revenge. The name of Konoha Kenpachi is impressive. Unlike previous Hokage, He has a more ruthless consciousness than anyone else. The words that people are not ruthless and unstable are vividly interpreted. If you know my name, how dare you commit a crime? The tragic situation of the land is the portrayal of this sentence. Invading Konoha. Can. As long as you have the consciousness to bear this painful price. And in the process of killing, Jiraiya once again asked his inner doubts. Under the rule of power, the world will be unified for a short time, but after the death of the most powerful warrior, the world will be separated again. How to solve this situation? The explanation given by Bajian made Jiraiya even more shocked. I won't die. In the future, those ninjas who are restless in their hearts will have a place to show them. If you put aside the perspective of the 5 major ninja villages, they suddenly have a common enemy. If that enemy wants to destroy this world and use this world as a nursery, the contradiction will cease to exist. Death, never die. This is the answer of the 8 swords, but Jiraiya can never understand. With the system, the first to unlock the template of death, the benefit of this template is a powerful soul. When the sword swings to the end, he will be immortal and immortal. Really stand on top. What kind of scenery is that? Bajian is full of expectations. Lord Cascage, if nothing is done, it is certain that Konoha's next target of revenge will be. It is the Land of Wind. The Land of Winds, Sunagakur Village. Inside Cage's office. Sunagakur Village, who is about to retire, Chiyo mother-in-law looked at Rasa in front of her and said her thoughts. On the table are piles of information about the Land of Earth. It records the changes in the land over the past few months. Like she said, if nothing is done, Sunagakur will be the next target for revenge. The reason is not difficult to analyze. The news of the coup in Kurigakure village has already spread, but after careful analysis, I always feel that the coup d'état. It came too suddenly. Whether there is Konoha involved in it, they are not sure, but they are sure that Terumi-Mei and Mew. There is some kind of connection between the leaves. The village of Kumogakure in the Land of Thunder was not involved in the last plan to attack Konoha. All that's left is the Land of Wind. The first option, now abandon the prejudice against Iwagakure village, give Iwagakure village support, and Iwagakure village together against Konoha. The second option is to directly attack the country of fire. The third option, before Konoha's Anbu arrives in the Land of the Wind, send the peace talks. Go to the Land of Fire and put down your posture. Chiyo, who was the frontline commander of Sunagakur village in the Second and Third Ninja Wars, the mind is still very clear. But I have to admit that the 2 wars cost Sunagakur a little bit. We have no choice. With a wistful sigh, Rasa finally smiled wryly. Sunagakur village, why invade Konoha? Looks like I'm going to trouble you for a trip. First change. Code word ing. Chapter 137 Liberation Knife. Your life is under my control. In a rocky area like this, there is very little continuous rainfall. But what is surprising is that such a cloudy and rainy day has lasted for nearly half a month. On the north side of the Land of Earth, an area close to the Land of Rain. More than a dozen temporary tents are hidden at the end of the mountain. Next to it is a water source. Here, it is very suitable to be used as a temporary base. Captain Dirt Road still can't get in touch with the village. The center tent, a weary Iwagakure village ninja with a little anxiety on his face. They, who were assigned to be stationed here to investigate the information of the Land of Rain, have not received any new orders for 3 months. And the ninjas sent back to the village also lost their movement like sinking into the sea. Ninja, based on the execution of orders. Without new orders, even if they are worried about the changes in the village, they have no right to go back to the village without authorization. If they return to the village, the country of rain will violate the overall situation, and they will not be able to take responsibility for delaying the fighter plane. But recently, news of the land has been coming to their ears one after another. What exploded in the village of Iwagakure? The villagers suffered numerous casualties. Anbu of Konoha dealt a heavy blow to the village of Iwagakure. Such rumors made their mood sink to the bottom. So desperately performing tasks outside, in order to guard the relatives in the village. But now there is a problem in the back, and this kind of haze in my heart cannot be shaken away. Wait a minute, Iwaya has been dispatched back to the village for 3 days, and if everything goes well, there will be news today. The dirt road captain shook his head. When he said this, he actually didn't have much confidence in himself. Before Yaki's messenger team, they had dispatched 5 batches of ninjas back to the village, but no news has come back so far. Even if the rock sparrow is the same as the dirt road, it is the Jonin of the village, he is still a little worried. But as a captain, stabilizing the morale of the army is something that must be done. Sticking to their posts and waiting for news is the only thing they can do. Suddenly raising his head, an extremely dangerous feeling made the dirt road horrified. Years of experience on missions gave him instant reactions. Enemy attack. 2 words were just shouted, and the temporary tent was bizarrely divided into 2. Swish. Hot blood spilled on his face, and Delu's body began to tremble. The body of the companion who had just discussed the situation with him in front of him, together with the tent, was strangely divided. 2991. Like when the god of death came, Senleng's voice penetrated into Jonin's ears, and the next second, the figure with the knife entered in front of him. 2992. Another companion fell, and he even saw the ninja looking at him for help before he died. 2993. 2994. The knife light kept flashing. Jonin on the dirt road. His body was still trembling, and the blood of his companion stimulated his nerves. Finally, he couldn't bear the oppressive atmosphere any longer, dropped his weapon and ran back. All the pressure of the past 3 months has completely exploded after the death of the companion in front of him. Devil. That is a devil. How humans fight the devil. Fear spreads. Seping forgot that he was a ninja, and humbly fled backwards on all 4s. 2995. The killing continued. But the young man's figure suddenly became a little dull, and the confusion on his face became more and more intense. Chakra, an energy produced by the perfect fusion of the human body's control of the various components of energy, is the source of energy for ninjutsu, demonic illusion and taijutsu. The origin of energy is the combination of the physical energy extracted from the 130 trillion cells of the human body one by one with the spiritual energy accumulated through practice and accumulated experience. Reiatsu is the density of a person's soul. The higher the density, the stronger the power. It is the source of the power of death. The pressure released by the soul is strong enough that it can even press the opponent to move. With a murmur, another enemy fell in front of him. 2996. Physical strength, physical fitness. According to different physiques and different blood vessels, the basic strength that can be improved through years of training affects body, spirit and soul. 2997. 3 different energies, but they are all extracted from themselves, either active or passive. 2998. The 3 energies have the same root and the same source, and they are based on themselves. If you try to fuse them, the result will not be as simple as 1 + 1 + 1. 2999. A new power that combines chakra, reiatsu and the qualities of the body itself. The confused eyes gradually sobered up. A coolness from top to bottom converged from Bajian's head to the soles of his feet. 3 strange rays of light from the huge Zanshoda began to intertwine. In this scene, the dazzling brilliance of the young man was shocking. The Nightingale team in the distance immediately felt the enormous pressure. Jianzhang is getting stronger again. The weasel in the distance was stunned. Unlike the previous Jianzhang, the pressure this time is not only the sense of urgency that the soul is being held down, but also the transformation of the body. This is. Beside him, Tsunade covered his mouth in shock. Different from what Itachi saw, what she saw was the body full of vitality. Such a powerful life force, she has felt it since her grandfather Senju Hashirama. Could it be that he really has the blood of the Senju family? How is this possible? Body, mind and soul. At this moment, the energies of the three completely converged, and the feeling of controlling his body as he wanted made Bajian slowly close his eyes. Zaraki Kenpachi's power, Zubai's power. Chakra, spirit. This is my body. His body trembled slightly, from his inner excitement and terrifying fighting intent, so Bajian took his Zanpakuto and slashed his arm with a swipe. What is Jianzhang doing? The Yishao members behind them watched this scene in shock, and it was too late to stop. Jianzhang is completing the transformation. Itachi shook his head and looked at the back of Eight Swords a little disappointed. He had seen this scene before, it was on the roof of Mr. Minato's house. The transformation that time made Jianzhang's gaze, QB 9 tails, quiet down. He walked ahead of him again. Jianzhang, when can I stand in front of you and lay something down for you? He is getting stronger. Under the cutting of the sharp blade, the blood on the arm slowly gushed out and flowed on the blade. But in less than a second, the wound has begun to heal. In addition to the terrifying swordsmanship, the strength of Zakagi Kenpachi is also the terrifying resilience that no one can match. What is even more shocking is that the recovery speed is comparable to that of a fairy body. It was the Zanpakuto that began to transform rapidly after being contaminated with the blood of the Eight Swords. The knife is still the same knife. The changes were surprising. No need to hit the shoulder anymore, the black handle is filled with weird lines, and the slenderness and width make the whole blade look very elegant. Only the yuhi-colored chain at the end of the scar would occasionally flash black yuhi-colored light. At this moment, his knife. Liberated. He still closed his eyes, but everything in the vicinity entered Bajian's mind like a real picture. Zanpakuto lifted high and plunged into the ground. Boom. The depressing atmosphere instantly expanded. The discomfort of choking on the throat made Yi Xiao's team look greatly changed. The invisible barrier has been completely opened. That's the power of the realm. At this moment, your life is under my control. God cry. Clang. Darkness comes. The figure of the Eight Swords disappeared instantly. The next moment, the body of the ninja in the village of Iwagakure who was about to escape in front of him stopped. Puff. Blood bursts. Until his death, he still hadn't seen the man's moves clearly. 3,000. 3,000 kills. His knife. Finally liberated. The second. Code wording force. Chapter 138 Walk Home. God weeps. Not a good name. But Shikai's liberation effect made Hachiken extremely satisfied. Starting today, he will no longer need to prepare in advance to prepare for the Super Strength Sword's virtual flash to deal with enemies with space ninjutsu. It's akin to absolute mastery over space. The greater the difference in strength, the stronger the scope and influence of this control. The advanced task is finally completed. The Eight Swords at the moment are the real god of death, but it is not only the power of the god of death that can be used. It is a combination of three energies, and the power he uses is significantly higher than chakra and reiatsu. And this kind of power is not limited to three kinds. In a few days, Bajian intends to try to add some sage art, that is, natural energy, in the flat cut. After all, in the Fourth Ninja World War in the later stage, without the blessing of sage art, the killing of enemies of the Six Paths level is obviously insufficient. Of course, the Sword of the Eight Swords can obliterate the soul, and the blessing of sage art is also optional. No one thinks they are stronger, sage art is still a solution that can be tried. What other people's knives see out as chakra, what he cuts out is loneliness. I don't know how powerful Sage Mode's flat cut is for the time being, and he's not in a hurry. Shikai has just become a master, and the feeling of the three energies converging in one body has not been completely adapted. Precipitation takes time. And the best precipitation method is the never-ending practice of swinging the sword. Lifting up the new Zanpakuto and looking at it, Bajian nodded in satisfaction. The original thick and huge Zanpakuto has become introverted after the change of his spiritual pressure, but just looking at the lines on the jet black blade makes people feel extraordinary. It is still so handy, as if its own arms are connected. The size of the Zanpakuto can be changed according to the spiritual pressure. It is not that the bigger the Zanpakuto, the stronger the spiritual pressure. Ichigo Kurosaki in the Shinigami at first, Zanpakuto was so big because he didn't know how to use Reiatsu. But it can also be seen from the side that his spiritual pressure is not bad. This Zanpakuto is similar to Zanyu, but it is more gorgeous and attractive. In the future, Bajian will not need to hang around with the huge sword, but will be pinned to his waist as a real swordsman. Wine gourds and knives will always make knives fall in love with them. On this trip to the land of the land, Bajian has gained a lot. Complete fusion of 3 kinds of own energy, Zanpakuto Shikai, and generous cut points. These things are the rewards brought by the advanced tasks. Shikai is still like this. Bajian is even more looking forward to how rich the rewards will be given by the advanced tasks of the solution. Jien sang. Itachi walked over with a bit of a complicated expression on his face, but more of it was his joy that the 8 swords had become stronger. Friends don't need to talk too much. Moreover, he is here to report the situation. Kakashi-san has just returned, saying that Onoki agreed with Konoha's previous terms. He's softened. Itachi had a smile on his face and softened. With more than 200 anbu for 3 months, Onoki finally couldn't hold back the pressure and chose to ask for Konoha's forgiveness. 3 months, it was not that Onoki did not try to talk to Bajian, and wanted to solve the problem through negotiation. As for the first request made by Bajian, he directly rejected it. That is Iwagakure village all bow their heads and apologize to Konoha. The kind of apology that makes an announcement to the ninja world. This is the first condition. The second condition, like Kumogakure village, pay war materials and pay tribute every year. For Onoki, who wants to save face, being able to do this will never be easy. But he can't do anything anymore. If Qianyuyi Shao continues to devour the land of the land, the ninja village of this country will probably fall completely. He can't hold on. The land of the land can't afford it either. Bajian did not force the other party too much, and agreed to withdraw from the border of the land when 2 conditions were met. Dealing with different ninja villages requires different methods. The existence of the land and the disappearance of the land will bring more benefits. Bajian understands it very well. Reunification cannot be rushed. Konoha, who is already digesting the resources of Kurigakure village in the land of water, has no extra manpower to control Iwagakure village. So under this premise, it is the right way to dig more benefits from Iwagakure village. Wait until the village of Kurigakure is almost assimilated, then it will be the time to really start. Now Konoha needs capital, and since Onoki has said this, it means the mission is over. Got it, get ready to go to Sunagakure village. Hachiken threw Zanpakuto away and looked at Anbu's ninjas. Eye for eye. The country of Earth has already paid the price, so why did the country of Wind slip through the net? That, 8 swords. But just when he gave the order, Jiraiya came over, and there was a contact clam on his shoulder. This is the psychic beast of Mount Myoboku. Because Namikaze Minato also signed a contract with Mount Myoboku, the contact muscles can pass messages between Minato and Jiraiya Zero. Konoha actually knew what the 8 swords did in the land of Earth, and they knew where they were. But the use of contact muscles is not frequent. After all, the toads of Mount Myoboku call themselves immortals, and they are only responsible for transmitting information in emergencies. A scroll spit out from the mouth of the contact clam, and then the toad disappeared with a bang after taking a look at Bajian. I don't know why, Bajian saw a kind of shock and vigilance in the toad's eyes. Shaking his head too lazy to care about the toad, Bajian picked up the scroll. The so-called three holy places, we don't know who dared to call them that, and some animals self-proclaimed the 8 swords of immortals also feel a bit outrageous. But he doesn't consider himself the son of prophecy, and he doesn't want to learn sage art by means of Mount Myoboku's cultivation method, so if nothing else happens, he won't deal with that group of toads. True strength is the knife in the hand. Opening the scroll, Bajian's face was a little different. Shisui, who came over, glanced at it and was obviously taken aback. The envoys from the Land of Wind are here. What are they going to do? Yes. There is only one thing on the scroll, and that is that the envoys from the Land of Wind have suddenly arrived. Minato's meaning is to ask the 8 swords how to deal with it, and to seek the opinions of the 8 swords. What else can be done? The same as Onoki's purpose. 8 swords put away the scroll, grabbed the wine gourd and took a sip. Rasa is a smart guy. From the news in the Land of the Land, he seems to have foreseen the future of the Land of Wind. If you don't make a choice of 1.5, I am afraid that the fate of the country of wind will be worse than that of the country of soil. This is not what Cage wants to see. Therefore, he gave in directly before the 8 swords did not act. I chose to surrender directly. Are you going to bear it? Very smart choice. But did they really have the determination to pay the price? With a sneer, the wine gourd was pinned to his waist again, and Bajian looked around. It's been 3 months. Not only the 8 swords completed the transformation. This Anbu unit has also undergone earth-shaking changes. It is impossible for the 3-month battle without casualties, but even the fallen ninjas have shown the might temperament they should have. This is the real growth. The assassination special forces Konoha really needs. With a knife pointed at the sky, Bajian took a deep breath and let out a roar. Go. Go home. Third more. Code wording, _ Chapter 139 receive the moment of glory as they deserve. Go home. The 2 words represent extremely complex emotions. It's a completely different feeling than when they left Konoha, maybe they'll remember it for the rest of their lives. Glory back to the village. These 3 months are not the longest compared to the tasks they have ever performed. But it is definitely the most exciting and memorable. Kurigakure village with thunder and turn Kurigakure village into a subsidiary of Konoha. This alone is the credit of 4,000 or 5,000 miles. Although this credit, their role is only the icing on the cake, but it is also the greatest glory that they have followed behind the minister. In addition, the trip to the Land of the Land is the most exciting. More than 200 Anbu ninjas, forcibly confronting a ninja village. Force Iwagakure village, one of the 5 major ninja villages, to become soft. The killing of Kurigakure village is decisive, and the strong threat of Iwagakure village. These things are enough to make them proud to say something to the people behind them. They are the Anbu ninjas of Konoha. The dignified Konoha assassinates the special forces. Not just hiding there, the ninja who executes the dark verdict and never gets light. This change filled them with pride. At this moment, their gazes towards Yi Bajian were filled with respect. Oh, 4. It was this young man who made Anbu and the others proudly reborn, and the minister fulfilled his promise. The new Anbu will be the glory of Konoha. This sense of belonging and honor turned into their loyalty to Konoha. No one will ever be confused by Anbu's mission and see that glory as darkness. You can even proudly say to others that they are Anbu's ninjas and be proud of it. And this sense of belonging has been upgraded to a new level when they came to Konoha village. This is the real Hokage. Raised his head and looked, Hachikan Yaoyao smiled at Minato. Just like when he led the Yi Xiaoxiao team and returned from the Land of Thunder after killing the quartet, Minato was looking at him kindly. The only difference is that behind him, there are all the ninjas and villagers of Konoha village. The spontaneous formation stretched from one side of the street to the other. The young ninjas were excited and immortal, while the older generation was full of relief and envy. And the villagers can only be grateful. After the team went deep into the land of the earth, one good news after another came back to Konoha. Strongholds of the land of the earth will be destroyed today, and how many people will be killed for Konoha tomorrow. Information like this, Minato has no intention of concealing anything, and will reveal to the public what the ninjas in front of the war have done. Let them know who is guarding this village. The new Anbu is Konoha's undeserved hero. Kumogakure village with their anger. This is an unforgettable feat. Do you feel it, Kakashi? In the Night Owl team, Guy excitedly patted his chest and looked at his companion next to him. Very similar to Hachiken and Itachi, they are also true friends. Yeah, I feel it. It's a completely different feeling. Nodding, Kakashi stroked his Sharingan. Dark. Non-existent. This is the real Anbu. Owl has done what no one else has ever done. The team walked forward, and the masks on their faces were slowly removed. The hero's face deserves to be remembered. Welcome home, heroes of Konoha. With open hands, Minato showed the temperament that the little son should have. The warm smile at that moment contained everything. They are family. It's really yours, Minato-sensei. Approaching Minato, Hachiken stopped and flipped Byakugan to his side. He never liked this kind of high-profile situation stepping in. This moment of enjoying the glory, it is better to leave it to Anbu's ninja. As for what you want to do, probably lying on Anko's lap to sleep and enjoy the comfort brought by the little maid's fan. Or, find Yugao to take a bath together, and then sit quietly under the swing together. There are always some people in life that you will miss. Yugao has become one of the 8 swords who miss him. And it's an indispensable one. But there are always a few teenagers who are a bit awkward when the glory is added. The members of the Night Owl team came to Minato's side in unison, and this kind of bright gaze was left to Anbu's men. This is the treatment they should have, and they all fought with their lives, and it is their own efforts to get the recognition of the villagers. Minato shook his head, but the 8 swords, as you mean, their names will be engraved on the meritorious wall. But there are a few people I'm still considering. Besides the 3rd generation and the White Fang, there is another person that makes me a little confused. Sarutobi. Bajian raised his brows. You misunderstood. I talked to the 3 generations of adults about this matter. He said that he would use Yuniu's efforts to do things that are enough to pass the meritorious wall. All the previous things should be turned over. Minato scratched his head a little surprised, and the 3 generations seemed to have changed a lot. Lord Whitefang, I have already started to disclose everything before, and there will be no problem. Is that so? Kakashi's heart next to him finally fell. It is not the so-called vanity of the merit wall, but the father who can prove that he is not the sinner of the village. This is the most important point. It is enough to wash away the infamy of heroes. Can this uncle go to your merit wall? The tail on Bajian's shoulder suddenly grinned at Namikaze Minato. How can I say that this uncle has made a lot of credit this time? The Iwagakure village being beaten by Mr. Ben. Naturally, we will not forget what Lord Kyubi, Ninetales, did for Konoha. Minato nodded in awe. He himself did not expect a tailed beast to contribute so much to the village. That's right, I see that you're a good boy. I will protect you from now on. Lord Kyubi, Ninetales. Those 4 words alone made Kurama feel relieved. I have never felt that helping human beings to do something can still be so enjoyable. That doesn't feel bad. The other one you're referring to. The problem of White Fang and the 3 generations is solved. Who is the other one? This man is a little hard to say. Shisui and Uchiha next to him, Minato finally spoke slowly under the gaze of the 2. Assessing the troubled times with the original Hokage Senju Hashirama, founded Konoha village, but then decided to rebel against Konoha, and after leaving, he made a comeback and injured Shodai first Sama at the cost of death. Uchiha Madara. 4th more. Code wording. Chapter 140 hand-carved his name. Enjoy the pleasure of being honored, but don't forget why you got it. The ceremony to welcome the hero is very ordinary, but it is extremely heartwarming and short-lived. As Minister of Anbu, Bajian announced that he would give his subordinates a long vacation and give them enough time to rest before they have new tasks. After all, the time to return to the village is already the second month after the new year. Matsuri has passed during the mission in the land of the land. It is appropriate to let the subordinates reunite with their families and enjoy the warmth brought by family affection. The lights at Mitarashi's house have gone out. As an older sister, Enko began to prepare after receiving the news that Bajian was going to return home, and planned to make up for the regret of not celebrating the new year with his younger brother. During dinner, Minato and Kushina came to Mitarashi's house with Naruto, who was less than 1 year old. Really enjoy a kind of family that has never been seen before. About work at the Konoha village gate. Whether Uchiha Madara's name should be engraved on Konoha's meritorious wall. The envoys from the Land of Wind, who had already arrived in Konoha, also waited and ignored them. Now he doesn't want to think about anything. Walking down the streets of Konoha, Hachiken came to the entrance of the ninja school, a familiar location. It's been a long wait. A figure was standing upright and waiting. Walking over, grabbing each other's hand without any reason, sweeping away the snowflakes that fell before leaving in winter, the two sat on the swing. No, just arrived. Her purple hair stood out in the surrounding snowflakes, and Yuhi's bright little face showed that what the girl was telling was just a lie. Agreed to walk here together in the evening. But Bajian knew that she must have been waiting here after school. The swing went up and down, and the two hearts seemed to be getting closer. Bajian likes the feeling of not having to think about anything by her side. It feels like first love. There is no need to say anything too sweet between the two, and Akatsuki has long known each other's feelings. Unconsciously, purple hair spilled on Bajian's shoulders. My mother often leans against my father like this, don't get me wrong, I'm just trying to see if I'm so comfortable ... Well, she always has her own reasons. An hour is neither long nor short, but I was worried about the 8 swords of the girl's body, and finally chose to. Azuki Yugao sent home, but when he came out of the street, Minato's voice suddenly came. Many years ago, I sent Kushina home just like you did. Yin and yang weirdness. Puppy love is not learned from you. 8 swords turned by Akugan. Minato-sensei has been waiting for a long time. From the time he left the house, he followed behind, and it meant that he wanted to walk with himself. We should have dinner together tomorrow. Sighing, Bajian walked over. So what you mean is that my puppy love looks a lot like you? Say, please. Don't say anything else. The girl sucking skills of Youngtame are still worth studying. From school time to marriage, the attributes of flirting with girls are already full. Even after graduating from the ninja school, he knew that this era belonged to the hero to save the beauty, and came forward at the critical moment when Kushina was hijacked. Who doesn't like this kind of man? You'd better drink less wine. The familiar streets of Konoha village, although the winter is almost over, it is a little strange that the two of them are still sitting on the bench with snowflakes. Just after a sip of wine, Minato reminded. Miss Minato, let's be honest, when did you become a mother-in-law too? 8 swords turned by Akugan. After following himself until now, Minato is fine. Minato nodded. I had a chat with Mr. Jiraiya before. I see everything you did outside this time, including your understanding and imagination about peace. But, 8 swords. When I mention that man's name to you today, I always feel that you will become like him in the future. It is true that unity requires killing, I agree, but you are still young and I don't want to see you kill for the sake of killing. That's what worries him. It wasn't that it didn't happen that the killing too much affected itself. 3 months, killing more than 3,000 people. He is very worried that Bajian will change because of this and become a strange monster who only knows how to kill. What do I think it is? Bajian sighed helplessly, but he also understood that this was Minato, concern for himself. Besides being his disciple, he is also Naruto's elder brother. Thinking about it, Bajian stretched out his fist and hammered Minato's chest in accordance with the old habit, and then stopped his head in front of Minato. Between men, why talk too much? Boom. The two raised their heads and collided, and the stone that Minato was hanging in his heart finally fell. He is still him. 8 swords are still 8 swords. The name of Konoha Kenpachi remains. Enough, that's the answer he wanted. By the way, Bajian, what are you going to do with the messengers of Sunagakure village? As soon as there is Uchiha Madara's name, the name will be written on the merit wall in the next few days, and the final list will have to be driven out. Even before the workaholic goes to bed, he still thinks about the things in the village. This is really Hokage for the village, for Konoha. Don't worry about the messenger group. Onoki will come to Konoha himself in a few days, and after he arrives, start processing. But Uchiha Madara, touching his chin, there are some things that he should have told Minato. Say on the road. Standing up, the two of them pulled Minato's sleeves towards the center of Konoha. Speaking of Uchiha Madara, do you remember the man who attacked Konoha last time? As he walked, Bajian's expression became serious. Minato nodded hastily. That man calls himself Uchiha Madara. There would be danger. Isn't that what you call Uchiha Madara? 8 swords turned to Byakugan, and so did Obito. You said that your voice has changed, your appearance has changed, your moves have changed, and even people think you are already dead. Okay, and then you have to let Minato recognize you while wearing a mask. What about the face? Don't play like that. You mean, is he really Uchiha Madara? Minato was stunned and asked hastily. 8 swords shook his head and took Minato to the bottom of the merit wall. The knife light flashed, and a name was left on the leader. There is only one credit for creating Konoha. Uchiha Madara. Not that the 8 swords have to be engraved with Madara's name, but this thing will be of great use in the future. I don't know if I can make that unfortunate child who was disappointed in the world change his mind. He only knows that he has to beat him to listen to you honestly. The wall of merit is just a hindrance. That man is not Uchiha Madara. It's your disciple, my senior brother. Oh no, if you really ask me to call me senior brother, I will really betray the disciples. His name is Uchiha Obito. 5th more. Code wording, _.